Conference are set to go in the restart of the new season. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don Criqui on an overcast, somewhat rainy day in Buffalo, joined by former Miami All-Pro quarterback Bob Greasy, as the Bills and the Dolphins are set to go again, as is everybody in the National Football League on this November 21st. Bob, there's been a lot of speculation that we might see sloppy football, maybe a lot of injuries. What are you looking for?
Well, it's an overcast day in Buffalo. It's typical for the football this time of year, and if I ever came to Buffalo and it wasn't overcast and rainy and cold, I would be surprised. But I'm looking for a lot of passing. I think it's easier for the players to get back into the swing of things when they have to throw the ball. It's tougher to get the timing with the linemen and the running backs hitting the holes. So I think we're going to see a lot of footballs in the air.
Your old friend and coach Don Shula is said to have his team as ready as anybody. They've been working out these Dolphins in earnest in the strike.
I think the fact that Don Shula had a strong hold on his team before they left for the strike, they worked out every 3 times a week for the entire 8 weeks of the season. They had 30 and 35 players attending. They are by far the best team in shape coming back from the strike.
Bob, if it is a passing game, as you're speculating, we're going to see a lot of these two good quarterbacks, Joe Ferguson of the Bills and David Woodley of the Miami Dolphins. Woodley's thrown a lot this year, but mostly to his backs in those first 2 games.
He has, and he's under control. They got a harness on him. They have a good running attack, much better than Buffalo. They try to mix in the run and the pass, and the plays are called from the press box or the sideline by Don Shula. They'll control him. If things aren't going well, there's Don Strock, and they can put him in if they want to get into a throwing game. On the other side of the field, you have Joe Ferguson. He has done very well. They've scored 5 touchdowns this year. All 5 have been through the air, and he is number 2 in the AFC in passing, and he looks to throw the ball in the air.
And, of course, he has a special target coming back today. Joey Cribbs, number 20, will be in the lineup.
The quarterback loves to have a back like Joe Cribbs coming out of the backfield. He is definitely one of the most exciting backs in the league. He caught 40 balls last year. He is an exciting addition to their team. The wide receivers are very good, but Joe Cribbs coming back will be a very much of a concern for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, they're ready to kick it off, so let's go down to the field. And Efrain Herrera is the man who will kick it off for the Buffalo Bills, signed on September 20th as a free agent. Remember him with Seattle. There's the deep man for Miami. Fulton Walker, number 41, second-year player, flanked by Eddie Hill and Rich Diana. So we're ready to restart the season as Herrera's into the ball. A high spinning kick will carry down. Fulton Walker, the Dolphins, takes it after 3. 15 to the 20. And Walker works his way down the sideline, gets to the 26-yard line. And there, Miami goes on offense, 1st and 10. Chris Keating, number 52, down to make the hit on special teams for the Buffalo Bills. So we're going to see now, Bob Greasy, just what Shula and his Dolphins come out doing as the new season begins, at the restart.
Expect them to come out running the ball to get their feet on the ground a little bit, and I anticipate that Buffalo will do the same thing.
David Woodley at quarterback, 3rd-year player out of LSU. His runners are 22, Tony Nathan, 37, Andrew Franklin. Bruce Hardy, 84, is a tight end. Duriel Harris is 1 wide receiver. Jimmy Cephalo is out wide to the left. 1st and 10, Miami. They go to the run, and the first carry is out to the 31-yard line. A gain of 4 yards. Andrew Franklin, a blocky little fullback, not little, but short, out of Nebraska, is hit by big Jim Haslett, one of the Bills' inside backers. Bring up 2nd down and 6. Gain of 4, so the Dolphins take it right to Buffalo's defense and get some yards.
He's been one of their real workhorses in the first 2 games of the regular season. He was gaining yardage at will against both New York and Baltimore.
Again, the Dolphins send men out to either side, and Cephalo and Harris. Bruce Hardy coming in motion. The pitch back goes to Nathan, and Tony Nathan working hard off the right side, gets the ball to the 34-yard line. He'll be a couple of yards short of the 1st down. A big, rangy 3rd-year linebacker, number 62, Irvin Parker, 6'5", 240 out of South Carolina State, made the stop for the Bills. Interior line for Miami, John Giesler and Eric Laxo are the tackles. Bob Kuchenberg and Ed Newman the guards. Dwight Stevenson the center. Defensively for the Bills, they have Ben Williams, 77, Fred Smerla, 76, and Sherman White, 83 across the front. Irvin Parker, rookie Eugene Marv, Jim Haslett, and Isaiah Robertson are the linebackers. 3rd and a short 2 for Miami. Dolphins go to the run. It's going to be very close. Andrew Franklin carried and got across the 35. He had to progress out to the 36, and we'll see if he did. Apparently, where they're spotting it, Bob, the linesman doesn't look like he's there.
I don't think he got it, Don. It was a straight ahead, straight blocking play, and it was a long 1.5 yards, and the Bills stopped him.
Now Buffalo sends back to two very fast punt return men, number 88, Mike Mosley, number 87, Robert Holt. Tom Morris out of Ohio State is the Miami punter. He's standing back at his 21-yard line, so the Dolphins, running the ball on consecutive plays, almost get the first down, come up about a foot short. Now punt the ball to Buffalo, and the Bills will get their first possession. Bills set up a return. Line drive punt, but it'll come back at Miami. Robert Holt, 30, 35, not done, turns the corner, 40, 45, 50, and Bob Holt, Radar Holt, first-year player out of Baylor, was with the Bills last year, but was on injured reserve. Returns a 33-yard punt back 20 yards, so the Bills start out with good field position.
Not a very good kick as far as Miami is concerned. Buffalo has a very good field position on their own 46-yard line.
They're going to spot that Holt stepped out of bounds at his 46. So here's the Bills on offense. Joe Ferguson, their good, quick-throwing quarterback. Curtis Brown and Roosevelt Leaks, the runners. Butler and Lewis, two outstanding wide receivers. Bramer's the tight end. A very good offensive line. Allowed only 3 sacks in the Bills' first 2 games this season. Jones and Devlin, the tackles. Reggie McKenzie, one guard. John Borchardt, the other. And Will Grant is the center. First and 10. The pitch back goes to Curtis Brown. Puts his head down, and Curtis Brown bumps the Miami defense back for a couple of yards. Defensively for the Dolphins, a quick defense in the opinion of Buffalo coach Chuck Knox, Doug Betters, Bob Baumhauer, and Bill Barnett across the front. The backers, Bob Brzezinski, A.J. Dewey, who might be a dime lineman depending on the alignment, Ernest Roan, and Larry Gordon. It was Ernest Roan who made the last tackle. Small and McNeil at the corners, and the Blackwood brothers. Glenn and Lyle are the deep backs for Miami in the secondary. Second down and 8 now coming up for the Bills. No score in the game. We're early in the first quarter. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy. Rich Stadium, Buffalo, New York. Overcast day. Temperature 54 degrees at kickoff time. There was rain this morning. Bills try a run, and not to much avail as Miami stacks it up. A.J. Dewey filled and knocked down big Roosevelt Leaks.
You know, the first play, Don, was a little bit of a wrinkle that I haven't seen from the Buffalo offense. They started Frank Lewis back in motion and cracked back on the linebacker, and that's something that the Dolphins may have to look for the rest of the ball game, because it was a very good block on Larry Gordon, the linebacker.
Jets have gone on the board at Shea Stadium. Freeman McNeil just ran it in from 34 yards out from scrimmage, and the Jets lead the Colts 7-0. 3rd and 7 now for Buffalo. Mike Mosley, very quick, comes in motion. Out of the shotgun, Ferguson takes a look. He throws. He's got a man. Bramer, the tight end, is inside the 40 and down to the 37-yard line. A very well-executed play by the Bills, resulting in a 13-yard gain and a first down on 3rd and long.
Good play on the part of the Buffalo Bills. All the attention has been given to the 2 wide receivers, Jerry Butler and Frank Lewis. Mark Bramer is a very good tight end, knows how to get downfield, made a little break to the outside, and we got open for the first down.
The Bills break the huddle now, getting the play that got them their first down. And now they're already in Efren Herrera field goal range. 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line of Miami with no score on the board. This the only, there's the first miscue of the day. Left side of the Buffalo line moved before the snap of the ball, and so the Bills will go 1st and 15.
Number 72 offense, false start.
Gene Barth, the referee. Bob, you played in your 14 years, I guess, against Buffalo more than any quarterback in the NFL history. And coming to Buffalo, usually at this time of year, you get some pretty heavy weather. This is kind of a break for Miami, 54 and kind of mild.
It's a very nice day as far as the Miami Dolphins are concerned. Normally, when they come up here, it's freezing rain. I can never remember playing on a sunny day, but it certainly is a very nice day considering what they've been before.
Jerry Butler comes wide left for Buffalo. Deep speed on 1st and 15. Ferguson with a deep drop swings it out to Curtis Brown, and it was good that he dropped the ball because he would have been knocked down for an increase loss by A.J. Dewey, who is a very versatile player in his 6th year out of LSU, as all Dolphin fans know. At 6'4", 245 pounds, quick and rangy. He'll back the line. He'll get down in a 3-point and go from a defensive line position.
It's a little quick screen. Dewey read it very well and got out in it, and If he would have caught the ball, it would have been a loss.
Interesting reaction there, Bob. Joe Cribbs comes in the game for the first time to a chorus of boos. He's been one of Buffalo's most cheered players, and with reason, his earlier years in the league.
Well, I'll guarantee you Joe Ferguson wasn't booing when he came on.
That's right. Last year, as you pointed out, Joe Cribbs caught 7 touchdown passes coming out of the backfield. He gets a pitch back, and he's going to run the ball. He can still run. Joe Cribbs gets down to the 35-yard line, so he got back to penalty yardage and 2 more. His first carry good for a 7-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 9.
Isn't bad for your first time back. Take a little pitch out, and he still has the quick feet. He's probably in better shape than a lot of the players that set out to strike, because in doing so, a lot of the players backed up to where he was. He's been running here. He gets a good block, gets outside, moves quick feet, gets back a lot of the yardage.
Kozlowski now in the Miami secondary as they go to extra defensive backs. McNeil and Small come out to the corners. Glenn Blackwood, the rover, back there on defense. Right now he's doubling up on Jerry Butler at the lower portion. 3rd and 9. Ferguson takes a look, throws long, and intercepted by Miami. Fulton Walker picks off the ball. Not done as Walker crosses the 20. Walker goes out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. So Ferguson, on a complete misconnection, way overthrew his receiver who was running an out pattern, and Fulton Walker, roving in the deep secondary, picks it off, and very nicely.
It's a big play by Fulton Walker. Ferguson had his man, but he just overthrew. He had to throw it over some linebackers, and he could see the ball, just overthrew it, way overthrew it. Fulton Walker had good vision, picked the ball off, and the first big play of the ball game belongs to the Miami Dolphins.
It does. It stops the Buffalo scoring threat. Miami has the ball when we come back. NBC Sports presents the best of the National Football League. Today's game is brought to you by the new Chrysler Corporation, quality engineered to be the best. By Budweiser Light, with a clean, distinctive taste worthy of the king of beers. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy, Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. 54 degrees, overcast. There was rain this morning. Playing conditions good right now, though. The crowd surprisingly large. It was late arriving, but there must be 60,000 or more here. Woodley hands off, and Andra Franklin again goes behind the right side. Loxo and Newman and his tight end. Jim Haslett fills, but the Dolphins come out running, Bob, and they get yardage every time.
They're going to run. They have always had success running up here in Buffalo. One of the people that are missing for the Buffalo Bills is Shane Nelson, and he's been a big factor in these series down through the years. Shane Nelson is out for the season with a damaged knee, and he won't be playing for the rest of the year for Buffalo.
Now the Dolphins send 2 people out wide to the left, 2 tough ones, Duriel Harris and Nat Moore. This is Moore coming in motion. 2nd down and 6. Back to the run, and Tony Nathan takes it ahead for a Miami first down out to the 46-yard line. Free safety Bill Simpson got him, but the Dolphins punch open the Bills' defense again.
There's Tommy Vigorito. I think what the plans are going to be for both teams is to get fresh people in there. Vigorito gets the ball in a little bit of a delay. You can see the blocking as it forms. Franklin leading through. Simpson comes up and makes the hit.
Vigorito in the backfield, aligning now as a wideout, coming out as a flanker right. 2 wide receivers to the left. Andra Franklin, the lone setback. Woodley throws hard. Vigorito catches the ball. He's drilled at the 49 by Steve Freeman. Strong safety. So the Dolphins get more yards. Good for a gain of 4.
What they're trying to do, Don, is isolate one of their quicker backs on Steve Freeman, who is a strong safety. And by moving out Tommy Vigorito, they're trying to take advantage of Freeman's speed, which is not as good as some of the other cornerbacks on the Bills team.
Now Nathan comes in the game for Miami. Tony Nathan in. A good catcher. Duriel Harris is wide right. Bruce Hardy, the tight end, goes in motion. 2nd down and 6 for Miami. Pitch back to Nathan. He breaks the Buffalo defense and gets down to the 45-yard line. So the Miami offensive line very much in tune despite the layoff and opening up the running game of the first quarter.
The Dolphins have already shown 4 or 5 different formations early in the game, and here you see the line. Newman pulling to his left. Cutting back is Nathan behind the block of Newman, and he gets up to into a situation where it's 3rd and 1 and they can go for a short yardage first down.
You remember the last 3rd and short yardage, 3rd and less than 2. Miami went right up the middle, did not get the first down. Our formation. 2 tight ends, Lee and Hardy. Nathan is stuck and dropped, and he did not get there unless they spot his forward motion inside the 45-yard line. They drove him back outside it. Bill Simpson coming up with a hard hit from free safety. Number 45, Simpson, the former Ram All-Pro, came out of retirement to join Buffalo with his old coach Chuck Knox when some injuries a couple of years ago decimated the Buffalo secondary.
It's a short yardage play. It's just a toss.
He's got it, I think.
Where he was trying to cut up the middle. I think if he would have lowered his shoulder and went for it, he was trying to break a big play and just made his first down.
Nose of the ball gets Miami there, and so the Dolphins keep the drive going with their best penetration so far. No score in the first quarter, 7:16 to play in it. Clock starts up as Miami and David Woodley go back into the huddle. Earlier this season, the first 2 wins for the Dolphins over the Jets and the Baltimore Colts. Woodley put the ball up 30 times that he completed, but only 10 went to wide receivers, a conservative passing game.
I think the thing they were mostly concerned with the Jets is don't pass when the Jets were thinking they were going to pass. Pass when you want to and avoid the big rush that the Jets have.
They did that. Here is Nathan, not much there. Tony Nathan on a 1st and 10 carry. Gets ahead, and Ben Williams, 77, out of Ole Miss, knocks him down. Ball will be spotted at 43, a gain of 2 yards. 2nd down and 8.
The Dolphins, as I said, have shown a lot of different formations that I'm sure that the Buffalo may not have thought they were going to come out with this quickly after the strike, which lasted 8 weeks. With a veteran offensive line and a veteran offensive team, you can do that. I'm sure they're going to show a lot of different fronts offensively and not try to do too many things with them. Just give them a lot of things to think about.
Now as the Dolphins align and officials' whistle blows, they're going to bring in a new football. Field is wet. A Fulton Walker interception on a 3rd and long play for Buffalo, and the Bills' first possession when they were down at field goal range stopped the Buffalo scoring threat, and the Dolphins have taken it from there in the scoreless game. 6:13 to play in the first quarter. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Woodley takes a look downfield. Over the middle, and he's got his man, Nat Moore. Moore is cut short of the first down yardage. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 3. Eugene Marv, who I think, Bob, you were looking for Miami to try to isolate on, the rookie inside linebacker, makes the tackle.
He's taking the place of Shane Nelson. He's a 3rd-round draft choice this year. He's a rookie. Stepping in and trying to get back into pass coverage. Nat Moore ran a little slant into the middle and ran right into Eugene Marv.
Now what do you look for Miami to do on a very important 3rd and 3 down to the Buffalo end?
I think they're going to continue what they've been doing, and that is throw into their inside people, either their tight end or the 2 backs out of the backfield. Maybe Joe Rose.
Woodley out of the shotgun, goes a little deeper. Cephalo can't get the ball. Almost got it. Mario Clark, number 29, made a play on him. And so the Dolphins come up short on 4th down now. At 4th and 3, Tom Orris, the punter's in, but if he can do his job, well, let's watch this again first.
It's a good read by part of the quarterback, David Woodley. Single coverage outside. Good throw right on the target.
Yeah,
good coverage. Sketchable pass.
Orris, if he can get it up high and get the coverage get down, could pin Buffalo. Mike Mosley, who might be the fastest player on the Bills team out of Texas A&M, where he was a wishbone quarterback. The number 2 draft choice a year ago, didn't play his first season with an injury, is the lone hand back. Orris going to take his time, hit it downfield, let the coverage get there, and the Dolphins do a good job. They down the ball at the Buffalo 9, and so the Bills get back possession, stop Miami from getting points on the drive. But Buffalo is a long way from the Miami end zone. The punt 28 yards, but it was very effective, and we'll be back with the Bills on offense right after this. Our student did that one, Bob, but it gets the message across. And right now, there's other scores coming in. Tampa Bay leads Dallas 3-0 on a Bill Capice field goal. The Jets now in front of Baltimore 10-0 in the first quarter. L.A. Rams lead Atlanta 7-0. Here's a pitch back. Joe Cribbs running. Curtis Roosevelt Leaks blocking, and Joe Cribbs gets across the 20 to the 22. And almost a whole lot more if Gerald Small not chopped him.
I tell you, if he keeps running like that, it's going to be a bad advertisement for preseason practice.
Well, the worst advertisement for it was when Jerry Butler, the great wide receiver for Buffalo, sat out the whole preseason in the contract impasse. Came back and caught 7 passes in 1/2 against Minnesota and won the game.
And you know, Don, the more Cribbs is in the ball game, the more he's going to get a feel of it. And I expect the more he does, he's going to get right into it where he left off last season.
1st and 10, Buffalo. They go to the run. Back to Joey Cribbs, and Cribbs is out across the 25 out to the 28-yard line. Bob Brudzinski, 59 on the stop for the Dolphins. Joe Cribbs was the final payment in the O.J. Simpson trade. When O.J. went to San Francisco and all those draft choices came to Buffalo, one of them was the number 2 pick 3 years ago that the Bills used to take Joe Cribbs out of Auburn. And as you know, he has been a number 1 player ever since.
Not a bad choice for a 3rd round.
He's been a very effective player, a Pro Bowl player, and in his first game of this season. Still playing under the old contract. Says he's not happy with it, but he's going to give 100%. He wants to be back. 2nd down and 2 as Cribbs is averaging about 9 yards a rush. This time they go to the fullback, and Roosevelt leaks. Booms right at Miami. Ernest Roan knocked him down, but the Bills get more yards and another 1st down.
Joe Ferguson had to tell Cribbs where to line up that time, but the better he does and the more he's in there, you can just feel it lifting up the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills. It's going to help Ferguson in his play calling. It's going to motivate the fans. It's going to be a big lift for the Buffalo Bills if Ferguson can use Cribbs in certain situations and get the most out of him.
Cribbs is 5'10", 196 pounds, has run a 4.440, and is very, very quick, very elusive. Changes direction better than anybody on the Bills team. Here's a quick out pass, and Jerry Butler catches the ball. Butler turning out on a 1st down play, and the Bills offense times up nicely for another 8-yard gain, almost 9. Gerald Small was on the coverage. 2:58 to play in the 1st quarter, and there's no score still on the board. Buffalo with its most impressive offensive showing of the young game.
Here's Jerry Butler, who started off with a bang the beginning of the season, just catching the quick out. 3 touchdown passes, 13 receptions in 2 ball games. He's off to a good start.
Frank Lewis now goes out wide to the right. Jerry Butler comes out wide left. Mark Bramer, young tight end out of Michigan State and a good blocker, is set right. Pitch back comes, and here comes Roosevelt Leaks, a battering ram out of the University of Texas, where he was the premier college football fullback in the country in that Texas wishbone. Went to Baltimore, suffered a knee injury, came here as a $100 waiver player, and has been a very good one since. And on 2nd and about 1.5 yards, Leaks gets ahead for a 1st down again for the Bills as they start to move those chain markers every 2 downs. A.J. Dewey tackled him. The strength of the Buffalo team, the Bill coaches will tell you, is their offensive blockers. Ken Jones and Joe Devlin, Reggie McKenzie and John Forchart, and Will Grant, the center. Very effective group. Ferguson looks. There's a man open, but he's over him. And again, Ferguson overthrows his receiver. This time he was fortunate. Miami very nearly in position for a 2nd interception. Got a live arm, though, doesn't he?
He sure does, and he rolls to his left, and it's a good thing because Glenn Blackwood was in on a safety blitz. You see, he has to throw the ball over Ernie Roan's head. That ball was not as poorly thrown as the interception because he had to lay it up over the linebacker. But the problem was he probably should have thrown it to another receiver because Bramer was covered.
You get the feeling, though, Bob, there's going to be some big plays broken one way or the other in this game soon because there's been some people open. And now Ferguson gets ready on a 2nd and 10 play, probably to pitch it again. Although Joe Cribbs has been a pretty good long-range offense. Ferguson looks. He has to hurry, and he missed thrown ball going to Jerry Butler over the middle, and now it's going to be 3rd down and 10 for Buffalo. Larry Gordon putting on a big rush coming from a linebacker blitz.
I know how old Fergie feels right now, Don. Nothing's going right. He's trying some short passes to get things going. There he only sent 3 people out, and they had double coverage on Lewis on the other side, and he just tried to dump it over the middle. And this is going to happen. He's a little off target, but he's good enough quarterback that he'll keep throwing and get in the groove.
Over the years, Ferguson's not done well against Miami. His statistics have been impressive, but what's he, 2-17, 2-15 quarterbacking against the Dolphins. Of course, the Bills were 0 for the 70s against Miami. 3rd down and 10. Home run ball. Butler's going to go up in the air for it. And the Miami Miami Dolphins have good coverage there. Glenn Blackwood came across. Oh, this is picked off. Look at Kozlowski gets the rebound and takes the ball across the 50, back inside the 40. As Mike Kozlowski, the fifth back, playing back, took the carom way downfield, and Miami has a second interception.
That was the old tip ball drill. Good play by Blackwood going up and deflecting the ball. Butler had a good chance to catch the ball. Kozlowski was right there to make the play. Looks like we're having a little bit of discussion. You got to remember that not only were the players out for 2 months, but the officials didn't have any work either.
Chuck Knox just jumped right up in the air over something the official said. Apparently he feels that Butler was interfered with, or something went against his bills. Chuck Knox protesting vehemently early in the game. 2 minutes and 7 seconds to play in the first quarter, Bob.
He may have said that when the ball was deflected up into the air that the receivers were out of bounds. Let's watch it here. Neither one of them were out of bounds. It was a clean catch by Kozlowski, who was just happened to be right in the area, and says, look what I found. Made a good run back, and after he got back downfield, he was walking off the field a little bit slowly.
We'll be back after this.
Look at the interception. It was good coverage by the Dolphins, heading covered short and deep. It was a ball that probably should have been thrown away or again thrown to another receiver. Ferguson thought he could get it in.
McCall was in position to tackle Kozlowski, but never did because he didn't think he had the ball. First and 10. Hazlitt comes pumping through and wraps Andre Franklin on a first and 10 carry. Andre did get ahead for a couple of yards for Miami. Bills fans starting to warm up now as the Dolphins have stopped the Bills twice in the first quarter with interceptions. The first deep by Fulton Walker. The other is Mike Kozlowski, the nickelback, came up with a tip ball. So now Miami will go second down and 9 from the Buffalo 48-yard line. Tony Nathan in the backfield. Woodley takes a look. He can run, as you know, and here's a pass. Is it caught? Pass. Here's a penalty marker coming in from way off the play.
It's a fine catch by Cephalo.
Going to go against Miami. Offensive pass interference. It was a fine catch by Jimmy Cephalo. Had the 2 feet down, but apparently he pushed off the corner, turning out.
This is another opportunity for the Dolphins to show some of the other things they can do. Here's a look at Woodley dropping back and then sprinting out. This is a planned sprint out to get him outside the pocket. Cause another problem for the Bills.
Bruce Hardy was one of the guys they were looking at, Bob. Maybe he pushed off one of the linebackers. But at any rate, there is a call negating the big gain for the Dolphins, and they'll be set back on a penalty. Don Shula, the Miami coach, says the Buffalo defense is very much like Miami's, a 3-man front with lots of zones in the coverage.
Offensive pass interference, number 84.
That was against Bruce Hardy, the tight end. This is the only matchup of unbeaten teams on the opening day, and now Coach Shula's heard from.
He's not happy with that call, obviously. It was probably, he thought it was an incidental contact between the tight end and the man that was covering him, and took away 15-yard gain, so he obviously not going to be very happy with it, but I don't think he's going to get it back.
Not going to get it back. It was a fine play. Woodley throwing to Jimmy Cephalo. Now it's second down and 20. Woodley bootlegs. He's got room to run. David Woodley's going to be ahead inside the 35 and not done till he gets all the way down to the 26-yard line. Bill Simpson finally got him, so David Woodley gets the penalty yardage back on the other 10. David Woodley running it all the way downfield to the 27-yard line, a gain of about 35 yards.
It's a big, big play. Buffalo is in their nickel defense. They've got 4 linemen, 6 defensive backs. You don't expect to run a bootleg against that type of play, but Woodley makes a good play out of it. There's nobody to cover the quarterback. Everybody's covering somebody else, and the only man that's not accounted for is Woodley. He is what the Dolphins need in this, as far as somebody to run against a team that's expecting a quarterback not to run.
Now Woodley goes back to the run, and bang. Sherman White, long-time veteran from California. We got 2 guys swinging. Dwight Stevenson, the Miami center, and one of the Bills. 2 yellow flags fly high, and the problem is stopped for the moment. These 2 teams don't like each other. Anybody that follows this game knows that.
he was fighting with Isaiah Robertson, and Isaiah's been around for a while. He does a little bit of talking while he's playing the game, but he enjoys it.
We have offsetting personal fouls. 57 offense, 55 defense. The down counts. It was continuous action. The down counts.
There's an official who knows his stuff. Gene Barth. They all do. Dang.
Sherman White getting in there.
This game has gotten so complex. Defensively, a whole new scheme now for the Buffalo Bills. Looking at the yardage, second down at 12. New people come back out onto the field. Lamar Parrish, the veteran cornerback who played with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Redskins, picked up by Buffalo in a trade in the summer, is in there. Bills with extra defensive backs on second down and 12. No score. 30 seconds to play in the first quarter. Woodley pitches inside, running hard, and down to the 25-yard line is Tommy Vigorito. So Coach Shula goes to his full bag of tricks early in this game. You remember Miami routed the Jets with every possible play look.
This is the old shovel pass. I want to tell you, that is not an easy play to execute. They had to have some timing they worked on during the strike to get that play. That is probably one of the advantages that the Dolphins will have, is that some of those plays they worked on during the strike. To be able to run that play in this game, you know they had to work on it.
Well, right now, the end of the first quarter has come. Miami driving when we come back. LA Rams coming out of the blocks with some style here, beating Atlanta 14-0 in the second quarter. Other scores as they come in. Cincinnati's gone in front of Philadelphia 3-0. Tampa Bay now leads Dallas 6-0. All first quarter. Washington, let's see, it's snowing. New Orleans leading Kansas City 10-0 first quarter. Miami on 3rd and 5. Woodley has a problem. Now he runs again and is stopped. So the Miami field goal unit will be out. Don Strock comes out to hold, and Uwe van Schaumann comes out to kick. Uwe's an interesting personality, Bob.
He sure is. He had a battle with colitis before the season started, and actually benefited from the strike because he had lost 25 pounds and gained much of that weight back, and he was one of the players that benefited. He's kicking very well, and he says he feels as good as he has all year.
Miami looking to put up the first points of this game. It'll be a 43-yard attempt just about straight away. Van Schaumann is right there, and the Dolphins take the lead 3-0 on the opening play, second play of the second quarter. So Miami has a 3-0 lead over the Buffalo Bills. You remember a year ago when Miami played here at Buffalo with something like 31-7 at halftime. Bob Greasy, this is Don Crickey back at Ridge Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. The Miami Dolphins on a 43-yard field goal by this man, Uwe van Schaumann, have taken a 3-0 lead. Now van Schaumann kicks off. Mike Mosley and Ted McKnight are back. This is Mosley, a very fast runner. To the 20, 30, 40, 50. Dives inside the 40-yard line. Mike Mosley, the son of a high school football coach in the state of Texas, who was the fastest player in the Bills camp last year before he severely pulled a hamstring and sat out the season. He ran a 4.340, 4.3540, almost breaks at the distance.
Quarterbacks are making the big plays in this game. Woodley ran for a big play early in the drive to the field goal. Here comes Mosley coming up the field, running like an ex-quarterback that he is, looking good for all the quarterbacks around the country. Could have broke this if he'd just gotten one more block. Von Schaumann comes over and just trips him up at the end.
You kept your 4.35 speed carefully concealed.
I was never on a kickoff return either.
I hope not. Joe Cribbs looks to turn the corner, and the Dolphins have him hemmed in, and he does his best to try to get back to the line of scrimmage and doesn't do that. Miami with good defense on a 1st and 10 play knocks Joe Cribbs down for a 2-yard loss. The first time they've kept him from getting a good gain in this ball game.
Little indecision on Joe Cribbs' part, trying to get outside, and if there's nothing there, what he needs to do is just turn it upfield. The problem is when you haven't been in a training camp and you're not tough in those situations, you have a tendency to dance in the hole and hesitate, and then all the pursuit catches up.
Now the Bills send Jerry Butler wide left. Wide to the right. is the very dangerous Frank Lewis. Butler and Lewis between them have caught 324 passes in the last 3 years. Ferguson looking, gets some time. He drills one. It's caught by Frank Lewis. Down inside the 20. Down to the 17-yard line, and this time Joe Ferguson delivers a perfect strike for a big gain.
Just a little play action. They fake the ball to Cribbs. Lewis makes a big catch coming over the middle. Fake the draw, hold the linebackers. He's waiting, good protection.
And an 18-yard gain is the result. And so now Buffalo comes right back after a 66-yard kickoff return by Mike Mosley, an 18-yard pass play, and the Bills are challenging the Dolphins. Miami leading the game 3-0 in the second quarter. Ferguson takes an end around. Now he has a problem. Throws it out to Butler. It's a poorly thrown ball, though. Behind Jerry Butler, he might have gone in. Buffalo coaches right next to us here in the press box starting to dig into their bag of tricks.
Both teams have got a few tricks for the others. They can do that with two veteran ball clubs. They put in the basic plays and then throw in a little bit to surprise the team. Fakes the reverse, looks. Miami had it covered very well. That would have been a big completion if he could have got the ball to him, but as it turns out, 2nd and 10.
12:30 to play in the first half. The Bills break the huddle, 2nd down and 10, inside the 18-yard line of Miami. Ferguson goes to Cribbs, up the middle, and Joe Cribbs is down inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. He catches the Dolphins in an all-out pass rush, and Joe Cribbs gets ahead for almost 9 yards. Bill Barnett, the right end, finally knocked him down.
Dolphins were blitzing some of their linebackers. Cribbs is so shifty. If all he needs is a little bit of a crack and he can get into it, he's not running with the abandon that he normally runs. He's a little bit stepping from one side to the other, but he can do that and make him look very good. But he looks like he's in mid-season form.
3rd down and 2 for Buffalo. Big down. Miami defense fills the gaps. Linebackers come up tight in short yardage. Cribbs turns, lunges, gets ahead. 1st down Buffalo. Or did he? They're going to stop the ball maybe a little bit back. Now the chain markers will probably, here they come. It looks like Cribbs had it then. When they had the ball spotted, he might be just short.
You see Leaks coming over, block. Reggie McKenzie leading the way. Bramer throwing his body in there. It's going to be awfully close. Tough decision for Chuck Knox.
Boy, it is a tough one. Offensive line says, let us go. And you have to, I think, against a defense as good as Miami's, the team that's had so much success against Buffalo. The last time they played in the Orange Bowl, the Dolphins were really a masterpiece on defense, taking everything away from Buffalo despite a lot of Miami injuries. And the Dolphins won that game 16-6. The Bills didn't get a touchdown. So now the Bills with the end zone not that far away, but it could be miles away, depending on what happens on a 4th down and inches play. Ferguson might go himself. Cribbs over the top. 1st down, Buffalo.
I think Joe Cribbs is in the lineup for good.
Like you said, Bob, he's a bad advertisement for training camp.
All he needed was a little bit of a stalemate by the offensive line, just keeping the defensive lineman's hands down, which they do. He got good spring in his legs and goes over the top for a big 1st down.
That's an athlete. Launches himself over the top of the Miami defense, and the Bills have a 1st and goal at the 6-yard line of the Dolphins. Miami leading 3-0. Cribbs. Touchdown Buffalo. Did he get in? They're saying no. Bills say he got in, but the officials do not. If he did, he's got to have the nose of the ball at the goal line.
If he didn't get in, he was right next to it.
The 2nd and goal from inches away. So you have the 2 most spectacular players the Buffalo team this season didn't train. It looks looked like he was in.
I'd have to say you get a touchdown on that play. The fans think so, too.
They always think so.
Well, they just saw the replay, and
that's right. It's up on the scoreboard on the matrix. Maybe Joe over the top again. He launched himself for a first down. Let's see if he does it for a touchdown. Nope. Dolphins are ready, and there's a free ball. Ferguson takes it. He goes in for a touchdown. So finally a break goes the Bills' way, and Joe Ferguson, who likes to run less than Bob Greasy, goes into the end zone.
Well, it had to happen. You got to think that Joe Cribbs had been running the ball every down, been getting hit very hard, and sooner or later he's going to drop it, put it on the ground. Don Shula talked about it earlier, putting the ball on the ground. Buffalo made a mistake, but they were fortunate to get a big play out of it.
Point after on a broken play, a fumble picked up by Ferguson. The Bills score a touchdown to go ahead, and now they extend their lead to 7-3. This is a very important game. Not only is it a match of two unbeatens, but it's a conference game between two of the best teams in the AFC.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, it's a rivalry. When Miami came up to Buffalo last year, it was a very competitive game. You see there that Baumauer got penetration before Cribbs was ready to be hit, and he fumbled the ball. But Joe Ferguson, like a good quarterback, will scoop it up and run it in.
I mean, with style, he showed some speed. Don Quickie with Bob Greasy back at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. The Bills with a couple of big plays. Finally take it in as Joe Ferguson picks up a fumble. Joe Cribbs was knocked free of the ball. And Ferguson runs it in from a couple of yards out, and the Buffalo Bills go in for a touchdown and take the lead 7-3. Fulton Walker, who had a big interception for Miami early in the game, is back deep. Rich Diana and Eddie Hill on either side of it. High spinning kick, and Fulton Walker will take it upfield at the 11. Comes out flying, and Fulton Walker puts his head down, and he gets out to the 30-yard line, so the Dolphins will have good field position. Now, while we have a moment, let's go to NFL 82 in New York.
This is Mike Adamle in New York, and the Kansas City Chiefs failed to score an offensive touchdown during their first two games, but they ended the drought here when Bill Kenny hit Henry Marshall for 44 yards and a score. However, the Chiefs trail the Saints by 3. Let's go back to Rich Stadium and Don Criqui.
Thank you, Mike, and we're set to go now with Miami on offense, 1st and 10. Dolphins with the ball just across their 30-yard line. Bob, you'd like to, when you get a chance here, to get your assessment of David Woodley, as young as he is, his potential. He came not as a high-round draft choice as most quarterbacks do, but he certainly developed very quickly.
He has. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot more from him and a lot quicker.
Whoa! Ariel Harris, the second man through, almost hit ball. Mario Clark was covering. It's for sure that Woodley has a good arm.
It was a very good throw by Woodley. Here we'll see him dropping back to pass. He's setting up, and he looks around, reads the coverage well. And as I was saying, a lot of people think that he should be playing better, but he really has been playing very good. Dario Harris takes his eye off the ball and drops it. But David is young. He's got the ability. The strengths are he's got a strong arm. He's got mobility. What he needs to do is be able to sit in the pocket a little bit more and read coverages. And that only comes in time. You can't get that. You don't buy that.
Right now, he's got to dump it off. Too low for Andrew Franklin. As at this point in the game, with 9:28 to play in the first half, the momentum is swung over to the Buffalo Bills after their touchdown. Their defense comes up with big plays, and it's now going to be 3rd down and 10 for Miami.
It was a poor throw on Woodley's fault. He knows that he was drifting away. It was an easy completion. It's a little screen pass, and he was drifting away when he threw the ball. These are the things that he needs to work on to make sure that he eliminates the easy completions from his passing game. But he'll be all right. He needs to study and prepare more. But he's young, and he's got plenty of time to do that. The basic thing is he has the assets. He has the arm, and he has the quickness and the mobility. He can learn the rest.
Plus, he's put above the shoulders. Miami sets up the pass block early. That's only the second offensive line misplay we've seen. You recall earlier a Buffalo lineman jumped before the snap count. And now Miami's John Kiesler gets set to pass block before the ball is snapped.
Offensive right tackle.
Be 3rd and 15.
like to have a little bit of that, Don, after being off for 2 months.
False start, offensive right tackle.
They called it on the right tackle, Laxo, but Giesler was setting up too. They both heard the wrong number. How much do you change the snap count, Bob?
Well, you try to change it to take advantage of a 3rd and short situation. You can do it in 2 ways. One, by the inflection in your voice. You can raise it when you don't normally do it, or you can change the distance between the huts and make them go a little bit faster and try and pull them off sides.
Home run ball, and man is out there, and it is caught by Joe Rose all the way down at the 30-yard line of Buffalo. David Woodley with a strike to fleet-footed tight end Joe Rose, and the Dolphins hit the big play. Penalty markers down, though, at the line of scrimmage.
There's a flag down on the field.
German White says it's against Miami. That was a 44-yard gain.
It's a big play. Good throw by David Woodley.
And the play is going to go. Apparently it's against Buffalo.
Joe Rose had single coverage. Lamar Parrish on the coverage.
Defensive left tackle, offside. Penalty refused. First down.
Secondary of the Buffalo Bills is a very aggressive defensive secondary. He can get up and run if he can get up a little bit quicker and get his feet. Parrish knows he hasn't touched him, but he gets up and makes the tackle. Buffalo, gets up and challenges the receivers, challenges the backs coming out, and you're going to have some big plays if you get time to play the ball.
That was a big one, a 44-yard gainer to the tight end, and now Miami has the ball. First down and 10 at the Buffalo. Whoops. Smirless might have jumped early. We'll see if he was drawn offside. Getting a little sloppy there, but we'll see if it wasn't some movement in the offense.
57 defense, encroachment.
57 defense. There is no 57 defense at the moment.
I think it was 76, Smirless.
57's the center that he hit in Miami, Dwight Stevenson.
I think the referee may be getting...
Defensive nose guard, offside.
Burleson was on.
Okay, Gene, that's better.
Now Miami and Woodley have a nice opportunity with a first down and 5 coming up. Bob, over the years there were people that thought you might have bobbed that head illegally, drawing people offside.
Never did it, Don. It's a bad rap.
Franklin on a power run, and he takes it right at Buffalo and goes inside the 20-yard line down to the 18. It's a first down, Miami. Isaiah Robertson and the rookie Eugene Marv were on the tackle for the Buffalo Bills.
It's a good play right up the middle. 2 tight end offense. See Bruce hands off to Franklin right up the middle. It's a little trap play. Bruce Hardy pulling and coming across. It's a little counter misdirection, the thing that the Dolphins were famous for in the early 70s. A lot of teams are using it now. Dolphins don't use that much of it, but they'll throw it in now and then.
First and 10 for the Dolphins. They trail 7-3. Here's a throw in the flat, and it's caught very nicely by Ronnie Lee. The tight end, he's out of bounds at the 13-yard line. The scores come in. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a powerhouse team. We'll get to that. Cincinnati with a safety now has now gone out in front on a field goal and a safety by the unlikely score of 5-0 over the Eagles at Philadelphia. Dallas trailing Tampa Bay 6-0 in the second quarter.
Get some funny scores today, Don.
Yeah, we're getting those. None there at Cleveland Stadium. Patriots and the Browns. The Jets doing well against the Baltimore Colts. They lead 17-0, and Pittsburgh's leading Houston 10-0. Pittsburgh's got some team again. Here's a 2nd and 5 run. There's not much there as Dan Williams comes up and knocks down Tony Nathan at the 11-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4 from there. Falcons get a touchdown here. They were down 14-0. Steve Bartkowski to Alfred Jenkins. Detroit leading Chicago 14-3. Ray Oldham ran back an interception for the Lions. Minnesota trailing Green Bay on a Packer field goal. New Orleans 10-7 over Kansas City, all in the first half.
Big play here.
Real big. 3rd and 4, Miami. 12-yard line of the Bills, 11-yard line. Out of the shotgun, here comes the rush. Woodley takes a look. It's up in the air. It's incomplete. And the Dolphins will have to send out their kicker, Uwe von Schoeman. Bill Simpson and Lamar Parrish were doubling up on Joe Rose.
The Bills' defense has been very successful in shutting down other teams on third down situations, only giving them 20% success. There's a little timing problem. Two receivers in the same area. The inside man was being jammed, and then consequently Joe Rose couldn't get back underneath. The throw was there. Just a matter of the transportation problem between the two receivers caused that incompletion.
The play that set up this field goal attempt was that 44-yard pass. David Woodley to a diving tight end, Joe Rose, and now Uwe von Schoeman, who hit his first attempt in the game from 43 yards, has a much easier one from 29. High snap, and Uwe once again is right there. And so the Dolphins have 6 points on 2 von Schoeman field goals and trail by 1 with 7:35 to play in the first half. The last time the Bills ran back a kickoff, you remember, was 66 yards on the return by Mike Mosley. He'll be back when we come back. We're back and set to go as Ted McKnight, 33, and the very dangerous Mike Mosley, number 88, are back for von Schoeman's kickoff. The Dolphins hitting a second field goal, and they trail Buffalo 7-6. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy on an overcast day in Buffalo. The rain has started up lightly, not a heavy rain. Temperature in the mid-50s. Surprisingly warm for November, late November in Buffalo. A good kickoff by von Schoeman, and Mosley won't bring that back. The Bills will go 1st and 10 at their 20. That's one way to stop a run back. Hit it 8 yards deep in the end zone. So the Bills bring it out to their 20, 1st and 10, leading the game by a single point, 7-6. Buffalo quarterback Joe Ferguson has been intercepted twice in this game. And we'll see how he does against the Miami defense in what's becoming an increasing rain when we return after this. There's a man ready for the elements as the Dolphins go on defense and the Bills come out 1st and 10 at their 20. Curtis Brown and Roosevelt Leaks are the alignment and the eye set for Buffalo. Frank Lewis, 82, in motion. Long count. Ferguson hands off. Curtis Brown runs the ball and runs it well, getting it across the 25 out to the 28-yard line. A gain of almost 8 yards. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Outside linebacker Larry Gordon was the tackler for Miami. We have 7 minutes to play now in the second quarter at Ritz Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. The only 2 unbeaten in the National Football League meeting today. The Bills and the Dolphins locked up in a close game, 7-6. Buffalo's in the lead. On 2nd and 2, Curtis Brown dips and deeks and doesn't get anything. Dolphins knock him down at the line of scrimmage. Ernest Roan made the tackle. As we now have an increasing rain falling in western New York, it's going to affect play. Bob, what's your observation on the overall caliber of play through almost a quarter and a half?
Well, I think it's been just about what we expected. I see the Dolphins moving the ball down, and they're stopping themselves inside the 20. That happens a lot in preseason and early in the season when it's easy to move from your own 20 to the other team's 20, but when it gets a little tougher inside the other team's defense, inside their 20, you break down and have to settle for a field goal. The Dolphins have done that twice today.
Now Buffalo has a tough down against a good Miami defense, 3rd and 2. Shotgun. Here come the Dolphins rushing. Ferguson throws long. It's caught for a first down. Tip ball. Mike Mosley came down with the ball. Don McNeil looked like he'd done his job very well for Miami, covering Mosley. But the tip ball and Mike Mosley, that super fast Texan, comes down with the football for a first down.
This ex-quarterback is having a pretty good day, pretty good half, I should say.
He had a wave Mosley in motion. He wasn't sure where to go.
Good, and the ball was right on target. Credit Joe Ferguson. Good coverage, just a good catch.
Apparently McNeil's still having a problem with that left arm that he fractured. Got it all taped up. Knows how to use it, though.
There you go.
1st and 10 Buffalo. 34-yard line of the Bills. 5:20 to play first half. There's an open man. Bramer, the tight end. The big guy from Michigan State takes a bump. Keeps on moving. Lyle Blackwood finally knocked him down, but he's down to the 43-yard line of the Dolphins.
We're seeing vintage Joe Ferguson now.
22-yard gain on the play. We'll look at it again.
Little play action to hold the strong safety. Then the tight end releases, goes into the area where the strong safety should be, and the Blackwood brothers catch up to him. Mark Bramer is really a fine tight end. He doesn't get much acclaim because of the two wide receivers that they have in Lewis and Butler, and then you have Cribbs coming out, but when they throw in Bramer and work him in the short areas around the middle of the field, they have an awesome passing attack.
Yeah, he's been a good player for him. Started as a rookie. Joe Cribbs runs on first down, and the Buffalo line gets off the ball very quickly off the snap and drives Miami back, and Cribbs had room to get down inside the 40-yard line. They'll spot it just outside where he's down, so it'll be a gain of only about 3 yards on the play. Second down, actually, and a long 7. So the clock winds down now to 4:09 and running. Second quarter, 7-6. The Bills lead the Dolphins. Wide to the right comes Frank Lewis. The very, very dangerous Jerry Butler is wide left against Don McNeil, who's playing well off him. Second down. Ferguson takes his drop, looks, he guns, he's there to Jerry Butler, and it looks like he has a first down. Lyle Blackwood, the free safety, with a hard hit. Jerry Butler, who rarely misses when they go to him, comes down with the ball in the first down.
One of the things Chuck Knox was concerned about in talking with him yesterday was the fact that A.J. Dewey does so many different things. He was blitzing that time, which made man-to-man coverage in the secondary. And Butler can beat most man-to-man coverage no matter who the defensive back is.
The Bills getting down in field goal range. Still a lot of time left in the second quarter. 3:15 to play in it. First and 10 Buffalo, 31-yard line of Miami. Ferguson, a 9-year veteran out of Arkansas. Quarterbacks the Bills. Fakes, he looks, throws, and is open. Good defense. Roosevelt Leaks was there, and Lyle Blackwood saved the play. A perfectly timed hit by Lyle Blackwood. That was executed as well as you can. They're booing for a foul, but he was there right on time.
It was an excellent play. Good play action in a good situation. Man was open downfield. The ball was right on target. Joe's rolling away from it. Throws. It's open just long enough. Lyle Blackwood gets there and breaks it up. Good defense.
But as you speculated about, the Bills have gone more and more to the passing game now as it wears on.
I think the longer the game goes on, too, the caliber of play will improve. I don't think the players will get tired because they'll keep rotating the players, and they'll get the feel of the game, and it'll pick up a little bit.
Second down and 10. Rain is almost stopped again now, but the field's wet. Here's a throw. Right to the wrong man. It's intercepted. Free ball. Buffalo might have it. Miami going for it. The Dolphins say they have it. And we'll see they do. Glenn Blackwood came in on the play. Split the receiver from the ball. And then the fight for the football. Lyle Blackwood was also in. Let's watch it all again, see if we can pick out who did get it.
Caliber of play is getting a little shabby here. I said it was going to improve. Good interception. Ball guys going for the ball. Ball's on the field. Everybody's grabbing for it.
Glenn Blackwood's
interception. A.J. Dewey rushing in there. Ferguson looks to his left. It's either a poor throw or the receiver didn't get to where he was supposed to be because it was right into Blackwood's arms. A lot of times you don't know whether it was the quarterback's fault or the receiver's fault or the mistiming between the two with a strike, but the fact is Buffalo's had the ball 4 times, and 3 times they've given it up with interceptions.
That's right, the third interception of the first half. Tony Nathan tries to turn the corner, and now the wet field takes a toll as Nathan, cutting back, lost his footing, as you saw, and goes down for virtually no gain. It'll be second down and 10 as the clock is down to 2:33. Bills had a field goal range position, but then they lost it. Now people come in on the secondary as the Bills go to the extra men. There's a miscalculation. The Bills trying to call a timeout before Miami snapped the ball. Matt Moore was heading for the end zone.
Timeout was called by the blue team before the ball was snapped.
Barely.
Timeout, Buffalo.
It was a smart play on the part of the Dolphins. What they did there, second and 10, long passing situation. And what Buffalo likes to do is get in their 4 defensive linemen for the pass rush and their 6 backs of nickel defense. Miami went without a huddle in that situation to try to get the play off before they were set. They did that a couple years ago against L.A., and it worked very successfully. They pulled it out again here today.
Knox said before this game it is especially important for a team to regain momentum when they're unbeaten like the Bills in Miami are coming in. Buffalo's momentum has been lost on 3 occasions by Dolphin defensive plays, 3 interceptions at Joe Ferguson, but he's hit some big plays too, has Ferguson. Now Woodley with a 2nd down and 10 might be gunning in this overcast day on a wet field. Penalty marker down as Woodley takes a look and throws, and a man is wide open, Duriel Harris. He's ahead for enough first down yardage, but we'll see who the call is against. Marker came down at the line of scrimmage. Sherman White was finally the man who made the tackle along with Isaiah Robertson on Duriel. Against Buffalo, so the play goes for the Dolphins.
David Woodley using the cadence to get the defensive line jumping. He drops back, gets a little penetration from Ben Williams, and rolls out. Very easy for David Woodley to move around.
Penalty off. Penalty offside. Penalty refused.
He does it so well that it just comes natural to him, and it gives him the offensive line and the receivers more time to block or to get open, whichever the case may be.
And the Dolphins have a first down, and Woodley looking to throw again with 2:12 to play in the first half. A long ball. Going high for it, but able to come down with his Tommy Vigorito out of the backfield. A second-year runner receiver from Virginia. He's been a good player for the Dolphins, a 5th-round draft choice.
Just saw Bill Simpson, the defensive back, weak safety. Here we'll see it again. Drops back. Simpson coming across your screen to Steve Freeman. Steve Freeman and Bill Simpson, both the safeties, are very intelligent players. And they'll switch up, let one of them in the middle of the field play the quarterback's eyes, and they'll run to it. Freeman's made some big plays in the past just off that same coverage.
Second down and 10, Miami. 2:07 to play.
Good for blitz.
They almost get to Woodley, and they almost get the ball. He overthrows Joe Rose. Bill's coming hard at David Woodley. It brings up 3rd down and 10.
The drop back in his own coverage. David didn't have to throw it that quickly. Just rushed himself. A lot of times your timing, you get back in the excitement of a game, and you want to get the ball to the receiver when he's open, and throws it a little bit quicker than he has to.
You're talking about looking for the blitz coming, Bob. What are you looking for? Linebackers?
You key the linebackers. A lot of times you can tell it in their eyes. You look at them most of the time and they don't do anything, and the other 10% of the time when they're coming, it's like they've got smoke coming out of their ear holes. You know they're coming.
Shotgun formation for Woodley and the Dolphins. 3rd down and 10. He takes a look. He's got a man out there, but it's too high for Duriel Harris, who is popped by Mario Clark as the ball comes in. That was a good defensive play by Buffalo.
Good defense, good throw. Poor route because of the field. The field is wet, and they're having trouble running some of their routes.
1:58 to play in the first half, so we'll get a punt now for the Miami Dolphins with 4th and 10 coming up. Mike Mosley and Robert Holt will be the deep men. First, we're going to get the 2-minute warning. With the Bills holding to that 7-6 lead. Both Miami points are field goals, all 6. By Uwe Van Schoen, the Bills scoring on a Ferguson touchdown run. With Bob Greasy, Don Criqui back at Rich Stadium, Buffalo, New York. Late in the second quarter, 1:58 to play in the half. The Miami Dolphins on 4th and 10 send in their punter, Tom Orris, who's a good athlete, as you were mentioning, Bob. The guy can throw the ball if need be. I don't know if he will now. The Bills have been driving against Miami, but 3 times they've been stopped with interceptions. Buffalo holding to a 7-6 lead. Orris hits a punt not very deep. Mosley lets it bounce, and it's going to take a Dolphin roll all the way down to the 20-yard line. And so with 1:47 to play in the half, the Bills go on offense, 1st and 10, a 40-yard punt by Orris, and as you saw, no return. So Ferguson, who's thrown 3 to the wrong people, comes back out with the Buffalo offense. Preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. The Buffalo Bills come out of the huddle, 1st and 10 at their 20. Dolphins on defense now with 1:47 to play in the first half, and Buffalo leading Miami 7-6. Ferguson making no bones about it. He's going to be pitching. An intercepted again. Gerald Small picks up the ball for Miami, and he comes back to the 15-yard line. So the Dolphins will have a lot of time to operate, and the boos rain down on Joe Ferguson, who's thrown 4 first-half interceptions.
No doubt about it. He's just rushing his throw. He threw that ball long before he had to. He had time to throw it, threw it too far downfield, and I think that the problem is other than he's throwing the ball high and behind the players, he really doesn't have the timing that he needs to have with his wide receivers. He's having a bad day. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, and he'll be back for the rest of the season, throw well. But today, he's having trouble because of the inactivity. That ball was thrown too far downfield. Gerald Small is there, makes a good run. The Dolphins in good shape.
A very fine defensive play by Gerald Small. So now the Dolphins, before halftime, in good position to take the lead. They led 3-0, then 6-0. Now trail 7-6, but they're challenging first to the 15. Over the middle. Woo! Hit Charles Romes of Buffalo. They're looking at Duriel Harris, but Romes had an interception ball right at him. He turned around and hit his numbers.
Getting a lot of bad throws. Fake it, trying to hit Duriel Harris on a slant. Good coverage by Charles Romes.
So it will be 2nd down and 10 from the 15-yard line.
Again, we're in that area inside the Buffalo 20 where the Dolphins have stalled twice before. They really need to get it in for a touchdown.
Woodley throws, and man has the opening, and then Nat Moore, rarely is he case where he drops the ball, but he did there.
That ball should have been caught. It's a matter of keeping your concentration. I think that's the problem with the inactivity. Guys haven't been able to catch the ball in traffic and take the ball and go turn upfield, and we're seeing some of it here today.
The rain has really stopped. A few drops falling, but the field is wet. It was not a heavy rain earlier, but it was rather consistent overnight. Temperature in the mid-50s, though. Chill not a factor as it usually is here in Buffalo late in the year. And right now, on 3rd down and 10, Woodley looks over the middle, and here's a free ball in the air. It's going to be intercepted by Buffalo. Lamar Parrish picks it off, and the Bills stop the Miami threat with the first interception as Woodley's strong arm skipped that ball right off a receiver, and up in the air it went. Lamar Parrish came down closest to it with the interception.
Turnabout is fair play.
First player is down on the game. Darrell Irvin, a defensive end for Buffalo. It's the first injured player we've had in the game being attended to. A pass rush.
Woodley's looking left all the way. Gets his hand up in the air. Lamar Parrish in the right time makes a big play for Buffalo.
Looked like it might have been Ken Johnson, Bob, a defensive lineman who slapped at the ball and knocked it up. Next Saturday, NBC Sports World puts you in the holiday spirit with the beauty and grace of world professional figure skating. Such former Olympic greats as Dorothy Hamill, Janet Lynn, and Robin Cousins will be featured in an encore performance from the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. It's an event you won't want to miss next Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC Sports World. So while Darrell Irvin of the Buffalo Bills is attended to, the Bills are set to go on offense with still some time to go. 1:16 to play, and these NFL quarterbacks of the quality of Ferguson, if they're not intercepted, as he's been 4 times, can get it down the field goal range in that time.
Play has gotten a little bit ragged toward the end of the first half. We had interceptions and fumbles, and really it needs to tighten up a little bit so one of these teams can get back on track. The main problem is the slippery field, the rain conditions. It's not an ideal situation to come back. It's not an ideal situation for quarterbacks to throw in. The ball is slippery when it's wet. The field is slippery. The wide receivers are not breaking as they should be. And plus the fact they've been off for 2 months. And all those factors are contributing to the poor play that we're seeing right now.
1st and 10. Ferguson will see if he's gun shy after throwing 4 the wrong way. He goes to the run, and Buffalo might be content to take its winnings. Roosevelt Lakes runs the ball. He's hit, spins, gets ahead, and he got 12 yards. The clock is running, though, and now we have a timeout signal for it. Or do we? Buffalo's going into a huddle. Now the clock's still running, and they're booing the Bills for not calling a timeout.
They're not real confident of their offense right now. They just as soon run out the clock, go into halftime, and regroup. I've been in Joe Ferguson's position before. I've thrown 5 interceptions in a ball game, but the game goes on, and if that's in your game plan, you got to keep throwing.
Down to 33, and that is the case, Bob. They're going to go to the run, take their winnings to the locker room. 7-6 the score, Buffalo in the lead. And fortunate to have that lead. It took an interception when Miami was down close. But the number one statistic in this game is the 4 interceptions of the Miami Dolphins of Ferguson, and yet Bills still have the lead.
I think it's a smart situation. The offense is not playing well. Joe's not playing well. Go ahead and run it out. Go in, relax a little bit, get yourself adjusted, readjusted, and come back out second half. He can't lose his confidence. He's got to come out. They've got to throw to win the ball game.
Good point. NFL 82 will update all the scores and the stories as the NFL season resumes. Chuck Knox wants a clarification from Mr. Line Judge. And so the first half ends here in North. Very fortunate, Bob, to be a leader in this game as their quarterback, Joe Ferguson, as we've all seen, has been intercepted 4 times in the first half. You don't usually do that against a Dolphin team and come out ahead.
Well, anytime you throw 4 interceptions and you're still ahead in the ball game, I think the Bills feel very fortunate to be in that situation. Like I said earlier, they can't abandon their passing game. It's what's got them where they are, and they need to continue throwing. Ferguson has obviously been off on some of his throws. His timing is just a little bit off, and what he needs to do is just relax a little bit, settle down into a pattern, and get back with his receivers where he can get the timing back and get their offense going.
Yeah. Somebody just got me with a piece of red licorice or something there. What is that? Well, at any rate, we're going to go up with the second half if we can survive this half.
Buffalo.
I'm from here, too. We'll be back with these messages, with the second half after these messages and a word from your local station. With the Dolphins trailing the Bills 7-6, Bob, the conditioning factor is of primary importance to both teams. How long do you think it's going to take these NFL clubs after the long layoff to be back in peak season?
It's going to take a while. I think we're seeing the effects of it here today and some of the sloppy play. They're going to be very sore on Monday and Tuesday of this coming week. It's similar to a training camp. The training camp area season is not so tough when you first get there, but after you've had your first contact into the second week. Next week's game, obviously, the conditioning will be better. And I think after the next weekend's ball games, they'll be back in pretty good shape, pretty good condition.
Wind is not a factor in this game, and it very often is, particularly in the November and December months here in western New York when it starts to kick up out of Canada. There's no wind that's any factor at all. The rain has stopped. Been a mild, light rain throughout the game at various times. Von Schama with another power kickoff. Let's see if Mosley brings it back. He will. He ran one back 66 yards. Breaks the crust again, and Mike Mosley almost ripped it out. 4 yards deep in his end zone. He brings it out to the 29-yard line. This guy is a threat. And Von Schama has been kicking off very well. The one time he didn't get it deep, it almost went the distance. Buffalo subsequently, off of that touchdown, that kickoff return, did score its only touchdown of the game. Ferguson, Curtis Brown, and Roosevelt Lakes in the offensive backfield for the Bills. Butler and Lewis, the wide receivers. Raymer, who made a big catch at tight end. Offensive line's taking good care of Joe Ferguson. He's not been sacked. I don't recall Woodley getting sacked either, Bob, yet.
One time, I think.
One time, right. Lewis comes wide right. Butler on the flank. Pitch back, Joe Krebs. Dolphins cut him down. Number 50, outside linebacker Larry Gordon, down to 7th year from Arizona State. A big, rangy, running linebacker, 6'4", 230. And little Gerald Small made the knockdown. Doug Betters, Bob Baumhauer, Bill Navarnette, the defensive front three for Miami. With Brodzinski, Dewey, Ernest Brown, and Larry Gordon, the backers. Small and McNeil, the corners. Glenn and Lyle Blackwood, the safeties. Second down and 10 for Buffalo. Early in the third quarter. Joe Krebs, the lone setback. Butler's wide left against single coverage. They go to Krebs, and Miami's there to get him. They're looking for it. You remember earlier in the game on an obvious passing down, the Bills went to Krebs on a run. Miami in an all-out rush, couldn't catch him, and he was ahead for what set up the go-ahead touchdown.
Here we see again Joe Cribbs, the only back in the ball game for the Bills, coming out in the second half. Swarming tackling by the Miami Dolphins. The other thing they've done differently coming out the second half, they've gone to 2 tight ends for the first time in the ball game, indicating that they're going to do some running and put their best running back in there, Joe Cribbs, and they're going to come out and say, well, let's run some to take some of the pressure off Joe Ferguson. He's having some trouble. Let's run some.
Now the Dolphins double up on the wide receivers as the Bills go to the shotgun. Blitz by Kozlowski. Running hard. He didn't get Ferguson. Ferguson gets ahead, but he's short of the first down. Kozlowski was really bearing down. He had him in his sights, but couldn't quite catch him.
You run much faster when somebody's chasing you, at least when you're a quarterback and you got the ball. But there again, Joe, looking downfield, didn't have the time. Their problem is their passing game is 90% of their game without Joe Cribbs. Cribbs made 44 yards the first half on 10 carries, but the thing they need to do is get their passing game going. They feel awkward if they can't throw the football.
Excellent snap. Punt not too deep. Figueredo lets it hop. He's going to run it. He has a problem. Figueredo is stuck and dropped inside the 30. Jim Haslett was down to make the play. Number 55 for the Bills.
37-yard kick.
First half statistical breakdown. That was a 37-yard punt with no return. Bills with 78 yards rushing. Dolphins with 63. Both teams even in passing. Let's see, we might have Mr. Strock in there now pitching for Miami. Don Strock off the bench, playing his first down in the regular season. He did not play in the first 2 games. We know how tough he can be off the bench. First and 10, Strock takes a look, he throws, and his first pass is good for a big gainer. Bruce Hardy, the tight end, comes down across the 45, and now there's a penalty marker after the hit. Might be a late hit on the Bills. Personal foul against Buffalo. 20-yard gain, and they'll tack on some more.
It's a big play coming out the second half.
Personal foul, number 26 defense, a late hit. First down.
Here's Don Strock inserted to start the second half. Back to throw, the first play out of the gate. Goes to one of his favorite targets. Makes a good run, Bruce Hardy does.
Nathan runs on first down from the 38 and doesn't get anything. Sherman White and Bill Simpson knocked him down. The Miami receivers with Don Strock opening the third quarter. Duriel Harris and Jimmy Cephalo, the wideouts. Ronnie Lee, the tight end, but they used 3, as you know. Giesler, Kuchenberg, Stevenson, Newman, and Laxo, the offensive blockers for Don Strock. Nathan in the backfield. Now he goes out, and Figueredo comes in. 11:40 to play, third quarter. Dolphins with a 20-yard gainer, and then beneficiaries of the personal foul have the ball inside the Buffalo 40, trailing by 1 at 7-6 Bills. Blitz. Strock gets it away and just off the fingertips of Bruce Hardy.
Safety blitz. It's interesting that the defense's pattern has changed. That's the first safety blitz we've seen in the ball game. As soon as Strock comes in, a passing quarterback, they're going to attack him. The aggressive Buffalo defense was coming after him. Strock read it, bided his time, knew how much time he had, and just overthrew Bruce Hardy.
You get the feeling about this game is going to heat up. These two teams really getting after it now, as we've seen some blitzes coming. Kozlowski almost got to Ferguson a little bit earlier. Now that Isaiah Robertson was coming, so was Bill Simpson, a free safety blitz.
Exactly right. It was a blitz. The wide receiver broke his pattern off, thinking that he had to break it off. Strock thinking that he was running the deep route. Miscommunication between the two.
Very nearly a Miami touchdown, though. That ball wasn't that far from Cephalo.
That could have been a big play if the receiver and the quarterback were on the same page.
Schaman, who's 2 for 2, will try a long one now. 56-yard attempt. The holder struck. Gee whiz, he is something. And he's wide left. Uva had plenty of gun behind him, but was not in range between the uprights, and so the Bills take over in good field position. Apparently the Dolphins are very confident of Uva having regained all his strength. That was a long try and almost good. We'll be back with Buffalo on offense after this. 1982 National Football League game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Atari, the leader in home video games for fun your whole family can share. And by Holiday Inn, the only hotel chain that gives you a no excuses room guarantee. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy in rainy western New York. The rain not that heavy. It's been going on and off right now. It's very light, if at all. The Bills, after the long field goal by Von Schaman that missed, take over at the 38-yard line of Buffalo. Cribbs looking, weaving, goes ahead and gets across the 40 and out close to the 43-yard line. Got close to 5. Larry Gordon was there to tackle him. Big Ken Jones, number 72, led the blocking. Bob, what about the decision to change quarterbacks at the outset of the second half, going from Woodley to Strock?
This is a problem that a nice problem in most instances that Don Shula has to make on his own, whether or not he feels like Woodley is going all right, whether the offense is doing all right. He would rather put Strock in a situation a little too early than a little bit too late. You remember the game in San Diego last year. He pulled Woodley at the first quarter. The Dolphins had punted 3 times, had 2 field goals, and really hadn't done anything offensively. They got inside the 20 and stalled. Now, that's not to say it necessarily was Woodley's fault, but maybe Strock is going to have a hot hand today. Let's put him in and see what he can do. That's his thinking.
Here's Joe Cribbs ripping it up again. Goes ahead for a first down. He's maybe not. They're going to be close enough to measure where they spot the ball. Looked like he had it. He slid, though, on the wet field. Don Shula not pleased with the development so far, but this one is a long way from over, and it's airtight. A 1-point Buffalo lead, 7-6 in the third quarter with 10:26 to play in it. Bills get the 4 new down. Woodley was 6 for 16 for 79 yards and just 1 interception in the first half.
I was just going to say, Don, you could see the ball when they measured it. The fact that it's wet. We sit up here and we watch it on television. We don't realize that the conditions are a factor. The rain is falling lightly, and the ball does get wet. It's slippery. It is hard to throw. This is not an easy game for a quarterback to come back and play in, but you have to do it.
Ferguson, his confidence shaken by 4 first-half interceptions. Stands in. He's going to throw. He puts it out in the flat and gets Frank Lewis.
On the money.
Oh, that was on the money. And Lewis went right where he had to go for a first down. He got 11 and 4 new downs for Buffalo. That takes a confident quarterback to throw the out pattern against a team like Miami.
Back to basics. Just read the corner. He's deep. Throw it back. Lead your receiver back. Good receiver like Frank Lewis. It's likely to draw it up on the board.
First and 10 Buffalo. 7-6 Bills. Quick in. Boy, Ferguson now is drilling the ball. Again, he goes to Frank Lewis. This time, Lewis slanting off the left flank. Ferguson with a perfect throw right on his
A.J. Dewey could almost pick this ball off. As a safety blitz, here we see A.J. sliding to his right. The ball goes right past him. He's looking at the back that he's got to cover. Good play for Buffalo. They're moving the ball.
They are. 8 yards. But as you were pointing out, Bob, both teams, when they get down, particularly Miami, are having an awful lot of trouble negotiating that last 20 yards to get into the end zone. Miami hasn't done it yet. Their points on field goals. Butler goes wide left. Frank Lewis is wide to the right. Joe Cribbs gets the ball and changes gears and goes up the middle. Seemingly stopped. He gets inside the 30. It looks like he does have a first down. Larry Gordon makes the stop. Along with A.J. Dewey.
It's good blocking by the offensive line. They're doing a good job. Joe just getting a little crack for Joe Cribbs, running inside the guard, outside. Here we see it. cutting back. He's going anywhere he wants to. They block straight ahead, and he can block anywhere he wants to as the rain starts coming down a little bit heavier.
First and 10 Buffalo inside the Miami 30. Third quarter, 8:25 to play in it. Ferguson looks, throws, woo. Dolphins near it. Glenn Blackwood made a play on the ball. Incomplete. It'll be second down at 10.
Double coverage on that play. It was if he completed that one, he would have been a Superman. He releases inside. The cornerback goes back with him. Tries to fit it in over the top of Don McNeil and in front of Blackwood.
So far, Joe Ferguson has thrown the ball 18 times. He has completed 8 of 18 for 97 yards. There's Efren Herrera, the field goal kicker, newly acquired, most accurate in the league history. Over 69% in his seasons. Most recently with Seattle before he was cut there in a rather surprising move by the Seahawks. But of course, 4 of Ferguson getting back to his numbers. 4 of his passes were intercepted by Miami in the first half. On second down, Joe Cribb runs and gets some inside the 25-yard line, down close to the 23. That was a second and 10 carry. He got ahead for what looked like a 4-yard gain. Bob Baumhauer, the middle guard, and Glenn Blackwood came up to make the stop. Ferguson, originally a third-round draft choice out of Arkansas. He came out 9 years ago. Not big, about 6'1", 194. But very strong. There's a lot of strength training, and there's evidence by the strength in his right arm. He can throw it as well as anybody around. We'll see what he does now. Third down and 5 play. Big rush. He stands in. They take care of him. Into the end zone. Frank Lewis can't get to the ball. And a penalty marker is down in the Bills' backfield.
Holding.
Yep, that takes him out of field goal range.
It's good coverage on the part of Miami backfield, and Fulton Walker had a blitz on, man-to-man coverage in the secondary, trying to get some pressure on Ferguson.
Now with the rain picking up, that football's going to come down wet every time it's thrown.
I hated it when it got wet. I had small hands, and the thing would just slip right out of it.
73 offense, holding, still third down.
John Borchardt, the right guard, is called for the hold.
Here we see Lewis just goes in motion across the screen. Dewey is picked up. Ferguson sits in there, throws it up and over the top. The only place he can throw it, just throws it a little bit too far.
The Bills have beat Miami the last 2 times they've played here at Rich Stadium, but you all know about the Miami streak that was unprecedented in the American Conference, where they beat Buffalo every time they played them in the 1970s. 20 straight victories. Bob Greasy certainly remembers. He was a big part of that success. Here's a throw. Catching the ball is Radar Holt. Robert Radar Holt isn't done. He gets out of bounds at the 5-yard line. A 6'1", 180-pound burner. Buffalo is deep in wide receivers from the recent drafts. Radar Holt is one of them. Another Texas player out of Baylor University.
We'll see it again. Kim Bocamper had the coverage. You see it right there. He's trailing him. He's normally a defensive end. In the scheme of things, they're trying to change things up and blitz different people. He dropped off from his defensive end, was going to try and cover the back. And Buffalo guessed right on that play.
Ferguson has an ability to bring his team back. The Vikings led here early in the season, 19-0, and Ferguson's passing brought Buffalo back to a 23-22 win. Right now, an option pass, not very well thrown, and it's intercepted by Miami. Bob Baumhauer, of all people, comes down with a football. Boy, he gets some long yards. A.J. Dewey. A.J. Dewey comes down with the ball.
It's a very poor call, in my judgment, to move the ball down the field and have a man that hasn't been in the training camp or hadn't been in practices throw the ball on a wet day. He hands the ball to Joe Cribbs. Your 1st and 10, throws it up for grabs.
Unbelievable.
A.J. Dewey makes the play.
So the Bills sticking with that 7 points and the 1-point lead after a 5th interception of Buffalo. Knox, whose Bills were down close again, only to see the Dolphins come away with a 5th interception, and maybe they deserve that one, Baba.
they got to question that call, and that was sent in from the sideline again. You know, I have trouble throwing in this kind of weather with it raining this hard, especially on the run. You hand it to a halfback that hasn't been practicing with the team. He threw it up for grabs. There was no way he was open. If he'd been practicing, he was worked in practice. He had one day with the Bills this week. You just got to question giving the ball to him. You had 1st and 10. Ferguson and the other guys could have gotten the ball in, at least gotten a field goal. This way you come away with nothing.
The clock you saw winding down to 6:40 now is in the 3rd quarter. Buffalo's leading 7-6. Don Sprock is the quarterback. He started the 3rd quarter. Woodley played the 1st half. Andra Franklin breaks it open and gets ahead for 1st down yardage, and a penalty marker comes in. See if it was a hold against Miami that freed Andra Franklin. Steve Freeman and Bill Simpson, the Buffalo safeties, made the tackles. That looked like it's going to come back. Clock stop with 6:26 to play. And the assessment is going to go against Buffalo, and here's the call. Face mask.
A 5-yard face mask penalty tacked on to the end of the play. 1st down.
Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Jimmy Cephalo, wide to the left. The Dolphins get a break, a good run from Franklin, and the penalty. Now a quick out over on the right flank and out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Is Miami wide receiver Duriel Harris. Irvin Parker knocked him out of bounds. The Steelers, who won their first 2 games today in Houston, are leading 10-3 in the 3rd period. Interceptions by the Miami defense of the Buffalo Bills. The last by linebacker down lineman A.J. Dewey, who dropped off to cover fullback on a halfback option play. Poorly conceived, and the execution was worse. Nothing happening so far at Cleveland on the scoreboard. New England and the Browns. Pitch back. Andra Franklin. There's a hard stick by the rookie Eugene Marv, number 54. Brings up 3rd down and about 5. Dolphins across midfield, though, Bob.
You know, Don, with the change in quarterbacks that we've seen in the 2nd half for the Miami Dolphins, you're seeing a different set of plays. When Woodley is in the game, the coaches on the sideline, Don Shula, in the press box, call the plays. And they will call certain things. When Don Strock is in there, he calls his own plays, and he'll call a different brand of game. He can have double tight ends if he wants. He throws when he wants to, and he moves it around, and he gives the defense more of a problem to contain because they have to prepare for a sprint outer like Woodley and a drop back passer like Strock.
And Strock drops back, timing pattern, throws it, and the Dolphins have a 1st down. Joe Rose catches the ball on the right flank and gets inside the Buffalo 40 and down to the 39-yard line. So the Dolphins get 4 new downs. Mario Clark and Lamar Parrish combined on the tackle, but again, the Dolphins hit the big play.
Good call, 3rd and 4, just a little slant out by the tight end. Run the wide receiver in, slant out the tight end, hit him quickly, pick up the yardage. I wouldn't be surprised to see Buffalo again start blitzing Strock on 1st or 2nd down like they did in the 1st series of the 2nd half.
Don Shula checking that scoreboard and then looking out of the field. Shula, the 4th coach to win 200 or more games in NFL history. Callis, Lembo, and Landry, the other 3. Dropping to throw. Up in the air. Ooh, it was a free ball. It was tipped to the line of scrimmage. They were going to Duriel Harris, but it was nearest to Buffalo free safety Bill Simpson when it came down.
Duriel slipped on the play. Would have been a big play. Had a little blitz coming on. Duriel had man-on-man coverage. Just slipped. Weather conditions.
Weather conditions are bad, to say the least. And getting worse as the rain comes down harder. Jim Haslett was coming on the blitz, and so was Marv.
Eugene Marv, Haslett, Ben Williams fighting in there. There you see Duriel slipping very, and obviously it was wide open. Could have been a big play. Not in these conditions.
Tommy Vigorito behind the pulling lineman, and Vigorito puts his head down. Here's another penalty marker at the 35-yard line of Buffalo. Steve Freeman was the man who hit him head-on, hit Vigorito. holding against Miami. And the Dolphins get the yellow flag going against them on this one. 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Score standing as it did at the half, 7-6. Miami, if you joined us late, scored first on a Von Schaumann field goal from 43 yards. Then the Dolphins extended the lead, another Von Schaumann field goal from 29. The Bills came back after a long drive when Joe Ferguson picked up a fumble by Joe Cribbs. Ferguson, ironically, the quarterback, scored the first rushing touchdown of this season for the Bills after the previous 5 were scored on passes by Joe Ferguson. It was 7-6 Buffalo at halftime. Bills down close again, but the option pass
67
play.
offense, holding, still second down.
They got Cooch. Bob Kuechenberg. Interception of Joe Cribbs on the halfback option play in Miami has started the other way since. The Jets putting it to Don Shula's old team at Baltimore, 30-0.
That's not surprising with the young team that Baltimore has. You figure they're going to have trouble coming back after 2 months off.
There's some speculation, though, Bob. There was some rancor in the Jet camp on how well they played. Down a wet field, the ball falls incomplete again. They were going to Duriel Harris on a second down and 18 play.
Had a couple guys open. Joe Rose was open. Duriel Harris was coming in behind him.
The Packers and the Vikings, arch rivals in the National Conference. Green Bay going on right now to its third win of this season. 26-7 Packers in the third quarter.
The Pack is back.
So far. It's been a while, though.
It has been a while.
That's a surprise. New Orleans stopped working out as a team, according to reports, the first week at the strike. And here they are winning against a good Kansas City team. Strock throwing a long ball. Nat Moore goes up. Oh, man. Nat Moore almost came down with the ball. Mario Clark was fighting him for it. And so it's fourth down, and the Dolphins will punt the ball.
Big play. Mario Clark patted the ball. Nat Moore had a chance to get it. Here we see the ball's up in the air. It's one-on-one. Who's going to make a big play? Mario hits it. Nat's got a chance for it. On the ground.
Tom Morris is in the game now to punt for the Dolphins, standing at his 40-yard line. He'll hit the ball somewhere about the 45. Robert Holt is back with Mike Mosley. It's tough to catch punts anytime. It's real tough to catch them when they come down wet like they are now. Buffalo's not going to try. It jumps into the end zone. Morris had an angle on it, but it goes in for a touchback. A 46-yard punt. It comes out to the 20, and there the Bills go on offense, first and 10. Long way to go, and there's going to be more turnovers on a wet day. Buffalo, this is Don Cricky with Bob Greasy on an increasingly wet day. QBs can stay dry up here, Robert.
I'm glad I'm up here. This is not a fun day to be a quarterback.
That's going to get tougher because the rain's falling harder with 3:38 to play in the third quarter. Buffalo holding to a 1-point lead. But look out for more turnovers. It's just too tough with a wet ball. Cribbs takes a hard shot, but keeps on chugging and gets out across the 25 to the 27. A.J. Dewey hit him.
We see going to Cribbs again. Glenn Blackwood gets in there, gives him a good pop. Bill Barnett finishes him off. Gain of 6 yards. It's a good play.
Cribbs has now run the ball 17 times in the game for 70 yards. And they've been tough yards. You got some big gainers you remember early, and then the Dolphins started to key on him, really nail him. Roosevelt leaks on second and long 3. Gets ahead close to the 30, but short of the first down. See where they spot the ball. Those Buffalo linemen just keep pushing even when it's down close. And where they spot the ball, he did get the first down. Looked like he was stopped. He keeps going, that time behind Ken Jones and Reggie McKenzie. The main man from the O.J. Simpson years.
5-yard gain.
Captain of the electric company that turned loose the juice. You remember the juice, Bob?
They get some more juice in this backfield. Joe Cribbs, it's amazing what he's done. Not having gone to training camp and set out the first 2 games and then the 2 months of the season to come back and to carry the ball and be the workhorse that he is today is really amazing to me.
It really is. Here he goes again. Joe Cribbs running the ball. No fumble. Play was dead.
Don, I think right there you see a good indication of what it takes to be in training camp. Cribbs has done very well today. He's run very well. They haven't thrown him the ball any, but he doesn't have that toughness that you develop by going through training camp and by not having practice. He's done a lot of good things. I've liked everything he's done today except drop the ball once and throw the interception, but he's been their main attack. Ferguson's having an off day. Cribbs is carrying the ball club.
Joe Cribbs might be the first guy in line for the Whirlpool, though, tomorrow morning.
I think he's going to be in there after the game.
Be a few of them in there. 1:40 to play in the third quarter. Second down and 10 coming up. Ferguson checks the Miami defense, which has intercepted Buffalo 5 times. He's been intercepted 4. Ferguson, they got Cribbs once in the option. Joe Cribbs coming on a slant. He gets a load of Larry Gordon and Bill Barnett, 2 big people who were looking for him.
They stuffed him. You know, you really got to give credit to Bill Arnsparger and the entire defense of the Miami Dolphins. They've played a very good ball game. The only touchdown that Buffalo has gotten was on that long kickoff return that returned to the Miami 34. Miami's played very well. They've taken the ball away several times on interceptions and fumbles, and now they're shutting down the running game. It's a good defensive game for the Miami Dolphins.
Third down, and Lou Pacone comes in the game as the Bills go to the shotgun. 2 receivers right, 1 left, and on either wing. Ferguson stands in. He better hurry. Throws on the run. Oh, man, it was caught. The play of the game. Frank Lewis with a wet ball comes down right where he had to go for a Buffalo first down. The play of the game.
Outstanding throw by Joe Ferguson on the run, a wet ball. Didn't have much time to get the ball off. Throws it right in there.
That was some play. Frank Lewis caught 4 for 50 yards. He's been around a long time in this game. This is his 12th year out of Grambling, a #1 draft choice of the Steelers.
See man-to-man coverage everywhere. The 2 deep guys are helping out inside. Fulton Walker, 41's covering Frank Lewis. He's right on top of him.
Screens the defender.
Holds his position, comes back to the quarterback. Makes an outstanding catch. Outstanding play.
So Buffalo connects, and now they get a first down and go to the run. Fullback Roosevelt leaks, fights, but there's a penalty marker down, and it looks like it'll be against Buffalo, and Miami will be beneficiaries of this one. Holding will be the call against Buffalo. Lyle Blackwood made the stop. 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. It'd be rather unbelievable if the 7-6 score ever stood through 4 quarters. Both teams threatening, but neither team able to break it, with Buffalo holding the 1-point lead.
53 offense, holding, still first down.
They got the center, Will Grant, guy who just fought for his job. 3 years ago, the Bills made Jim Richard the Outland Trophy.
Baumar, excuse me, Don. Baumar being held, number 73, by number 53, Will Grant. Yep, the umpire right there throwing the ball.
Saying Will Grant, who was called for it, had to beat out Jim Richard, who was the Bills' #1 draft choice and the Outland Trophy winner. And Richards played virtually not at all. Here's a handoff and a run. Curtis Brown takes the ball on 1st and 20. Gets the ball out to the 39-yard line. It'll be second and about 12. Big Bob Baumhauer, down to 6th-year out of Alabama on the stop. Big Bob has had some strange pets over the years, hasn't he?
Had some strange pets. He brought a lion, a cub lion, to training camp one year, and by the time training camp was out, there was none of us that was going into Baumar's room, I'll guarantee you.
It's like the tiger they have at Cincinnati. Every year they have a little Bengal tiger at the start of the season. By November, you don't go and pet him anymore. The gun sounds. That is the end of the third quarter. The score is the Buffalo Bills 7, the Miami Dolphins 6, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Set to go to start the fourth quarter on a rainy day in Buffalo, New York. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy. The Bills have the football in a 1-point lead to open the final 15 minutes. Doesn't look like there'll be any overtime in this one. A 1-point game at this point. 15 minutes to go. Second down and 12 coming up for Buffalo. Ferguson has been intercepted 4 times all in the first half. Stands in. He throws. He's got a man, and he drops the ball. Curtis Brown wide open. A good throw, but it's a wet football, as we pointed out. And a hard throw like that, tough for any good receiver to catch. He had Larry Gordon beat.
It's a good throw. Joe Ferguson looking around, found the right man. see double coverage. Blackwood's going with Bramer. Butler going downfield to clear it out. Curtis Brown cranking over the middle. If he'd been open, he would have thrown it to the other guys, but he was reading the coverage and threw it. Good throw. That time didn't connect because the receiver dropped it.
So unless Buffalo can connect here, the Dolphins will get it back and in possibly good field position. Radar Hole is in. 3 wide receivers to either side. Joe Ferguson end around. Here comes Radar Hole. He's a flyer. The Dolphins are an awful tough team. But here's a free ball picked up by Kozlowski. No whistle that we can hear of, or nobody stopped playing. It's going to be Miami's ball as Kozlowski comes up with a second brilliant defensive play to recall the earlier interception and the long return, and now he comes up with a fumble recovery as the Bills go to a double reverse that comes up empty.
Kozlowski's in the right place at the right time today. Picked up the fumble there. Earlier in the ball game, he had a deflection and ran it back. He's one of the best offensive players on the field for the Dolphins today. There you see on a reverse.
Radar Holt lost the ball, and Kozlowski picked it up. And the play goes. Some of the Buffalo guys were standing around looking like it would be whistled dead, but it was a clean play and an advancement down to the 12-yard line. So now the Dolphins in good position to take the lead. First and 10. Andre Franklin. He's ahead down to the 7-yard line. Down in the area of the field where the yards come tough. Jim Haslett and Bill Simpson were on the stop.
You're right there. Miami has been inside the 20 a couple of times, failed to score. They're going to their double tight end, their big back. They'll try and run it, maybe a little tight end on the flat to get something going. Strock's very sharp, knows what he wants to get done in this area, and wouldn't be surprised if he threw the ball right here.
Let's see. Motion in the line. Penalty markers go down. This might come back. Ronnie Lee was the intended receiver, but penalty markers are down at either side of the line of scrimmage.
Here you see Strock dropping back. Tight end Ronnie Lee just heads out to the flat a little bit. Good throw in this area, safe throw. Give it to your big guy. Let him get against the smaller defensive backs.
It came on a 2nd and 5 play for a first down, 2nd and 7 for a touchdown for Miami. Looks like the mark-off's going to be against the Dolphins. No, it is not. The other way, and the Dolphins are beneficiaries of the penalty, and it's brought down inside the 5. So Buffalo doing about everything wrong that a football team can do.
76, defense, offside. Half the distance to the goal. It's still second down.
Was not drawn off. Smirlis jumped off himself as he did earlier in the game. The Bills still holding to a lead, but probably not for long with the Dolphins challenging now. 2nd and a little over a yard for a first down. 2nd and about 3.5 for a touchdown. Watch Andre Franklin. That's Franklin. He's not going to get there. Eugene Marv hits him. Fumble on the ball. The official saying the play is dead.
Sure, the Buffalo fans thought he fumbled the ball. They need 1 yard for a first down and about 3 yards for a touchdown. Buffalo has their 6 big defensive linemen in there and a linebacker at weak safety, so they got their goal line defense in there. It's tough to run against.
Strock takes a look, throws into the end zone, incomplete, off the fingertips. Charles Romes was defending Nat Moore, lost it for a second time today. And it's 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit. Shula does not want to fool with not getting the lead on a short field goal. Boy, it's been tough to get it in the end zone today.
It has been tough. Receiver was open.
Eugene Marr put the pressure on Strock. This will be virtually an extra point-length field goal. Strock will hold at the 11, 21-yard field goal. Uwe van Schamen. Only missed today was a long, long field goal of over 50 yards attempt. He's right up and he's right there, and the Dolphins have the lead back. It is now a 9-7 game, and the pressure's back on the Buffalo Bills. A lot of time to play, though. 13:09 left to go in the game. And the rain continues to fall in Buffalo. 1982 National Football League game is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like their outstanding value. By ColecoVision, the arcade quality home video game system. And by Canon, manufacturer of advanced plain paper copiers. 13:09 to play. Buffalo, New York. Dolphins take the lead on Uwe van Schamen's third field goal of the game. And now, Van Schamen kicks off to the Buffalo Bills. Oh, he drills one downfield. It's picked up by Chris Keating, and up back, a linebacker, and there to block. He gets it out to the 39-yard line. Dolphins looking for some big guy to fumble the ball, but they didn't. Chris Keating scooped it up. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy here in Buffalo. And right now, the Bills send out their offensive unit. Looking to get back down the field. They have a long way to go, and Bob, they're probably looking for field goal range at this point in the game.
Well, at least that. It's turned into a field goal game with the problems of moving the ball, the wet conditions. The receivers are dropping the balls now more. The quarterbacks seem to be more on target, but now the receivers are slipping and dropping the ball. It may be a game for Uwe van Schamen and Efrain Herrera, the new kicker from the Seattle Seahawks. It may get down to that.
Well, Van Schamen certainly has done his job well. Herrera hasn't gotten a chance yet except on the extra point. Ferguson wants a lot in a hurry. Butler's going for the ball. He's a flyer, but there's too much on it. He was past the defense. Diving down at the 5-yard line. Ferguson and the Bills try to get it all at once.
He was wide open.
He was.
Not a good day for Joe Ferguson. Sets up play action away. Caught Gerald Small looking into the backfield. Butler runs right by him. Joe just threw it too far. .54 to play in the game. Second down and 10. They go for the big play on first down. That makes it difficult for the next two for the Bills now. As the Dolphins dig in with the pass defense, here's a throw. A man is open, but it's incomplete. Frank Lewis landing over the middle. It might have been tipped by a Dolphin because it skipped in high. I think you're right, Don. I think it was tipped. Ernie Roan dropping back. You see Ernie Roan to the right of your picture. Just gets his hand on it. But not a good throw. I mean, it was covered. He was not open. He had to fit it in over linebackers and underneath the deep guys. Just a tough day for Joe Ferguson.
What most fans don't realize, Bob, is when you're down, we're looking at it from a higher level. When you're down as a quarterback, you got to see it looks like 100 people running around out there.
Been there before. Ball's wet. He's had 2 months off.
3rd and 10. Ferguson gets it away and almost intercepted again, and A.J. Dewey almost got his second of the game. Big guy covers a lot of ground, dropping back to the 50 in the zone coverage. Bills have to punt it now, and Cater's on the field.
Buffalo has had the ball 8 times up to this point, 9 including this one. 6 of them, 6 of the times they've given it away on turnovers. 5 interceptions, 1 fumble. The other 3 times they've punted. Their offense has really not done anything other than that one time they got the touchdown after the long kickoff return.
Cater hits a long spiral downfield. Vigorito comes over and fields it. Steps out of bounds at the 17-yard line.
If that would have been a dry field, he could have stopped and come back.
Yeah, because he outkicked the coverage. 43-yard punt, but it got there in a hurry. A low punt, long spiral. The Vigorito could not stop on the wet field, but the Dolphins do get the ball back, and they are holding to a 9-7 lead with 12:36 to play. Into the score now, Miami leading 9-7. Dolphins have the ball in the rain. 12:36 to play, 1st and 10 Miami at the Dolphins' 17-yard line. Andre Franklin working for those tough yards, gets it out close to the 20. Updating some scores around the league. Houston has come back on the Gifford Nielsen to Dave Casper pass in the 3rd quarter and has tied the Pittsburgh Steelers 10-10 3rd quarter. In the 4th quarter, Cincinnati is leading Philadelphia 18-7. Bengals led 18-0. Perry Harrington just scored for the Eagles. Dallas has rallied from 6 points behind to lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 3rd quarter 14-9. Cleveland has just scored. Brian Sipe to Ricky Feature, 39-yard pass play. The Browns lead the New England Patriots 7-0 at Cleveland. Jets continue to put it to Baltimore, leading now 37-0 in the 4th quarter. Jets in the lead. Here's a throw and a diving catch, and it looks like a reception by Jimmy Cephalo. Spectacular play by Cephalo of the Dolphins. Diving down and low thrown ball on a wet day, and he makes the grab.
Great catch by Jimmy Cephalo. A good dive. Jimmy's been traveling a lot lately. He was a player rep for the Dolphins on the strike. He was going back and forth. Some of the Dolphins were going back to work. Cephalo got himself a job as the new PM Magazine co-host with the local station in Miami. So he's going to be doing being in the television business.
Might do a feature on him this week. Big play for the Dolphins. 1st and 10 at the 30. Miami leads 9-7 4th quarter. Andre Franklin rips it up the middle, and he gets ahead, powering down to the 38-yard line. It'll be a yard short of a 1st down. The L.A. Rams led Atlanta 14-0 in the 1st quarter, but now in the 4th quarter, Atlanta leads L.A. 27-17. Chicago down 14-3 to Detroit has come back to lead the Lions 17-14 in the 3rd quarter. At Milwaukee, Green Bay continues to dominate Minnesota 26-7. New Orleans leading Kansas City 24-17 in the 4th quarter. Second down and 2 for Miami. Again, they go to Franklin. Breaks tackles. Open field, and Andre Franklin powers his way out across the 45 to the 47. You'll remember this drive started at the 17-yard line of Miami. So the Dolphins running the clock, which still has a lot of time, 10:30 to play, and getting the 1st downs.
You notice they're going to their double tight end. But Andre Franklin, their big back, and what Strock is doing is just reading the defensive secondary and seeing where the force is going to be and checking off one way or the other. With Steve Freeman, the strong safety is to the left, which he was at that time. He'll check and run the play to the right. He's key in the defensive force coverage and running away from it. Very simple.
And it's working. 1st and 10 now for Miami. Quick out. Goes to Duriel Harris. Tries to turn the corner, but he's run out of bounds at the 50. Got a couple of yards. Mario Clark and Irvin Parker ran him out.
Parker and Clark.
David Woodley worked the 1st half at quarterback. And as you were mentioning, just a change of pace. Maybe something can get going with the veteran Don Strock. Was probably the thinking of the Miami coaches. And Don Shula elected to go with Strock here in the 2nd half. Only scoring in the 2nd half was Uwe von Schauman's 3rd field goal, which gave Miami the lead, 9-7. It was a 7-6 game, Buffalo at halftime. 2nd down and 9 now for the Dolphins. Franklin caught and stopped. Good defensive play by Buffalo. The veteran Isaiah Robertson, 12th year out of Southern University. A former Los Angeles Ram, as are a number of these Buffalo Bills who come here since Chuck Knox took over as head coach of the Bills. Bills coach Chuck Knox started out as an offensive line coach with the Jets in 1963, went to the Lions in 67 as an offensive line coach, took over the Rams in 73 and won 5 straight divisional titles, came to Buffalo in 78. Turned out winning years, winning seasons, some of Buffalo's best teams ever under the Knox era. 3rd down and 9. Strock a deep drop. He's going to throw over the middle, and he's got Joe Rose. And Rose is tackled short of a 1st down. Charles Romes with an excellent open field tackle for the Bills, stopped the first down, and Miami will have to punt it back to Buffalo. This is a good football game despite the mistakes.
Exactly. That was a good play by Charles Romes. Rose was coming against the flow of the receivers. Had all the defensive backs going one way, Rose was going the other. Strock found him, makes a good tackle. Here you see the man-to-man coverage. Watch the linebackers run with their men. Can't see it on this replay. Rose going the other way. Charles Romes comes up and makes the tackle. It was a big play. Saved the first down.
Orris hits it high. They don't want to touch these if they can help it. Mike Mosley does in the rain and steps out of bounds, but it's well done by Orris, who drives Buffalo back inside its 15-yard line. The Bills will take over at their 11 with a long way to go to get in field goal range. 8:25 to play in the game. Miami's last field goal by Van Schauman could hold up. We'll see. With Bob Greasy, Don Crickey back in rainy western New York. There's the numbers with 8:25 to play in the game. The Dolphins in the lead 9-7 on 3 Uwe Van Schauman field goals. Elements working against the Bills as his field position. The wind has started up and it's going into the Buffalo offense. Joe Ferguson at quarterback. Flag is straight out now above the stadium. A run out to the 15-yard line. Joe Cribbs is called on to carry, protecting the ball with both hands. Larry Gordon knocked him down for Miami.
Buffalo's got to just take the ball, mix in some running plays, throw some of the passes that are not so hard to catch. A lot of the receivers are slipping on the pass plays. What they need to do is run some plays that aren't so difficult for the receivers or for the quarterback, some safe things to keep the drive going.
Throws a screen pass out. Roosevelt Leaks has the ball in a fine play. Glenn Jackson and Larry Gordon came up to cut him down before he could break free. And so third down arises for Buffalo. Bills will be about 3 yards, maybe 4 short of the first down. The game clock is running with 7:20 to play. The wind is blowing and the rain has increased in intensity.
This is really a difficult circumstances to play a football game. The fact that they haven't played in 2 months, now they come back and it's a wet, slippery field. It's a windy conditions and the ball is slipping all over the place. It's very difficult to come back into these circumstances.
Ferguson has a history of throwing very well in the wind, though. He's a good bad weather player. Lou Pacone catches the ball and gets out to the 23-yard line. He gets a first down. So the Bills get 4 new downs, but still they're a long, long way from the Dolphin end zone and certainly from field goal range. And the clock continues to run. Bills huddling at their leisure with the clock down to 6:35 and running.
That was a good call by Ferguson. It was just a little slant in by Pacone after Lewis and Butler cleared downfield. All they needed was 3 yards, and that's what it was meant to pick up, and it did.
Turns the corner, blockers in front. Cribbs tried to cut upfield, has a problem, did get to the 25-yard line for a couple of yards, and that was all. He stayed in bounds and the clock runs. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League's Buffalo Bills and the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited. Final score, first one in, the New Orleans Saints upset Kansas City 27-17. The Saints, a team that stopped working out a week after the strike began, come back and win.
You think they'll stop working out this week?
5:28 to play. Second down and 9, and Ferguson calls a timeout. One of the 3. He has 2 left, but didn't like something he saw. What is usually the case when a quarterback does that?
Could be a lot of things. Could be fright.
Yeah.
But sometimes the quarterback will forget the snap count, and he turn around and ask the center or the guy in the back. But basically, he's got the play called wrong, and he can't check to something else. It happens more than most people think, but the quarterback can get out of it with a check on.
And we'll be back right after this. Butler, the fine wide receiver for the Bills, has not played since he ran that long fly pattern not that long ago. Might have pulled a muscle. Lou Pacone is in as a wideout to the right. Butler wide to the left. Second down and 9 for the Bills. Fritz now goes out. He'll swing out as a pass receiver. Blitz. They get Ferguson all the way back in the 5-yard line. That could be the play that puts the capper on for Miami, because Buffalo's really in trouble now. Third down coming up back at the Bills' 6-yard line. The Dolphins go with a blitz and they make it connect.
Big play. Bob Baumeier coming in, showing why he's an all-pro the last couple of years.
Who would call that, Bob? Would it be called by Arnsparger?
Yes, Arnsparger would send it in, and A.J. Dewey could make an adjustment here or there, but basically the defense is called on the sideline.
Well, Coach Arnsparger, as he's done many, many times over the years, calls it right again, and the Dolphins execute. Now they have Buffalo back inside the Bills' 10-yard line with third down coming up, and 5:02 left on the clock, and it's running. Miami 9, Buffalo 7. Ferguson needs to throw it a long way just to get near a first down. He does throw, but a little bit behind Frank Lewis, and it's incomplete, and the Bills will have to punt, and the Dolphins can come out of this with very good field position.
Not much chance of a completion if you got that much yardage to go. Here we see on the left side Frank Lewis going deep downfield, breaking to the outside. Again, the ball's a little bit behind him. Ferguson didn't have a lot of time to wait. But if you're going to throw the ball, it's the place to do it. Throw it away from the defensive backs, incompletion rather than interception.
Good punt, very high. And Vigorito does a good job fielding it at the 49-yard line of Buffalo with 4:39 to play. So the Dolphins go on offense first and 10 after a 38-yard punt. But a very high punt, no return. The Dolphins with the field position and the lead, 9-7, when we come back with 4:39 left to go in the game. We're back with 4:39 to play. Frank Lewis walking off a little bit of a pull after he went for the ball on third down. Now the Dolphins have it leading 9-7. 4:39 to play in the game. They have it at the Buffalo 49-yard line. Don Strock hands off. Miami looking to keep possession, runs the ball. Tony Nathan down to the 46-yard line. The New York Jets have come off the strike with a big win, routing Baltimore at Chase Stadium 37-0. Jets got it going early when Freeman McNeil ran 34 yards for a touchdown. Later, Mike Richard Todd threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Lamb Jones, another to Freeman McNeil. Some Pat Leahy field goals, 3 of them. And the Jets go to 2-1 on the season.
Go down with a new format this year with 8 teams getting in the playoffs in each conference. It won't take but maybe 4 or 5 wins to get in to qualify.
And home field is what the good teams are shooting for. Here's a run, nothing there. Second down and 8. The pickup is only a yard as Andre Franklin is knocked down by the Bills' free safety, Bill Simpson. Third down coming up. The Dolphins taking their time. They don't want to give Buffalo any more time of possession than they can help if they have to punt the ball back to the Bills with 3:30 left to go in the game and the clock running. Miami 9, Buffalo 7. Bills led at halftime 7-6. Then an Andre Franklin run, a couple of them, some sharp passing, and finally an Orva von Schaman field goal. But the Dolphins up 9-7. Big rush. Here's a throw. Tip. Intercepted by Isaiah Robertson. So the Bills get the ball back with 3:04 to play. They're not done yet. An all-pro play by a former Pro Bowler, Isaiah Robertson.
When the going gets tough, the big play guys come to the forefront. Isaiah Robertson's been in a lot of situations. Talking with Chuck Knox yesterday, he puts in 6 defensive backs, takes out all the linebackers except for that man right there. He's got a little age, a little long in the tooth, but he's got the ability. He knows where to go. They drop back in his zone. He was right where he should have been and made the interception.
We'll be back after this. Sports who saved you a seat at its Thanksgiving Day table. For advertisers, it's NFL 82 with all the latest news plus insightful features. And then the special, the Dallas Cowboys battle the Cleveland Browns in an exciting interconference matchup. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern Time right here on the home of the Super Bowl, NBC Sports. Well, right now we have 3:04 to play at Buffalo. Bills trail by 2. And And there's a big Miami defensive play as the Dolphins gang tackle on a 1st and 10 carry. Roosevelt Leaks gets virtually nothing. Dolphins hitting hard, and it was the Blackwood brothers coming up from the safety positions along with Baumauer who made the knockdown.
John, they've got 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. This may be their last possession of the ball game. They need to get the ball down the field, at least in field goal range. They're going into the wind, so they have to get it a little bit closer than they normally would. They've got to get the ball to Cribbs and to the wide receivers, maybe the tight end Bramer, who is a big play man for them.
And now Frank Lewis is also out of the game for Buffalo, so Perry Tuttle, the rookie from Clemson, is in. 2 backup wide receivers. Here's a pass. Intercepted by Miami. It is an interception for the Dolphins. If it's called inbounds, it is a 6th interception by the Dolphins. A 5th of Joe Ferguson, and that could lock it up for Miami on a day that Joe Ferguson came up empty. 4 first half interceptions. Remember the halfback option interception that was the 5th by Joe Cribbs, and now the Dolphins get it back again. They were going to Perry Tuttle.
This is a ball that he has completed several times over the years. This time they got it covered very well. Don McNeil up there. He really wasn't open, shouldn't have thrown the ball, but he's completed that ball. Quarterbacks have very much a great deal of confidence in their ability. It just isn't there today. Next week, the week after, he'll be all right.
You think they're about 2 weeks away from peak performance?
I think about 2 weeks, and they'll be back to normal.
Ball start, 64 offense.
Are called for one there. Ed Newman, the right guard, called for a false start, so it's going to be 1st down and 5. Next Saturday, NBC Sports World puts you in the holiday spirit with the beauty and grace of world professional figure skating. Former Olympic greats Dorothy Hamill, Janet Lynn, and Robin Cousins will be featured in an encore performance from the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. It's an event you won't want to miss next Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC Sports World. Final score: Atlanta, after trailing 14-0, comes back to rout the Los Angeles Rams 34-17. Final score. Handoff to Andre Franklin, turning upfield. The Bills get in on him, and on 1st and 15, he's knocked down at the 44-yard line as the clock will tick down to the 2-minute warning. Bills still hoping to get it back one more time, but this Miami defense, which has intercepted the Bills 6 times, has been the difference in a tight 9-7 game. Miami in the lead. Now here comes another one of those fantastic finishes.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1981, the Rams have fought back to tie Houston with 1.5 minutes left as Frank Corral kicks off to Willie Tullis at the 5. Tullis starts left and stays left. He picks up some blockers and rolls to midfield. With Carter Hartwig fighting Leroy Irvin all the way down the sideline, Tullis goes into the end zone for a 27-20 Oiler victory.
Our field goal for the Cleveland Browns at the final buzzer gave Cleveland a 10-7 win over New England today at Cleveland Stadium. Browns beat the Patriots, and right now the Dolphins leading the Bills 9-7 with 2 minutes to play. 2nd and 11 for Miami at the Dolphins' 44-yard line. Penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage. Tony Nathan runs the ball across the Miami 45 out to the 48. Steve Freeman, the strong safety, tackle him. Irvin Parker also on the stop, number 62. And now here's the call. Again, Buffalo jumped early. A 4th time in this game they have. Miami's overall play from a execution standpoint has been very good in the lines.
In the offensive and defensive line they have, their defensive team has played well overall. There's been some problem with the receivers slipping, but that's to be expected. I think the major glare. I'll wait to hear from Gene.
Defensive nose guard, offside, still 2nd down.
I think the major glare of the Miami Dolphins today is the fact that their offense inside the 20 has not been able to get the ball in the end zone.
Joe Ferguson, ironically, the year that Buffalo ended the Miami 20-game win streak over the Bills, threw 5 interceptions in that game that Buffalo came back to win in here at Rich Stadium. Today he's thrown 5 interceptions, 6 all total for the Bills. Andre Franklin running hard on 3rd down. He's going to be short of the 1st down. On 2nd down, it'll be 3rd down coming up in about 3. Game clock down to 1:44 to play. Bills with 2 timeouts remaining. Miami has 3.
Don, Don Strock will be using all the tricks that he has now to try and pull the Buffalo defensive line off sides with his cadence to try and get a cheap 5 yards. In this situation, a 5-yard penalty would almost end the game for Buffalo because it would give Miami a first down.
Third down coming up. You think Buffalo might use a timeout here to slow up Miami because the Dolphins are taking all of it. 30-second clock to get the ball in play is down to 7, and Strock will look at that and get it all the way down. 1:05 to play in the game. Andre Franklin. I don't know if he got there. Looks like he might have.
He did.
He did, and that will put the top on as the people get up and get set to go home. The Dolphins, unless they make a critical error now, are going to win this game with 4 new downs and 56 seconds to play. A game of many mistakes, as was expected coming in, and certainly Buffalo made the preponderance of them, including the 6 interceptions. You were saying about during commercial that you hate to see a quarterback have that bad a day, even if it is the opposition.
I sure do. Because there's extenuating circumstances. You know, Joe Ferguson, as we've said, is going to come back and play well all year. He's played well in the 2 games of the regular season before the strike. But the circumstances under which he has to perform today was not very good. He suffered through a terrible day, but yet the weather was bad, the wind was blowing, it was wet. I'm not making excuses, I'm just telling it the way it is. The receivers were slipping and sliding all over the place. He's a fine quarterback, and he's going to lead Buffalo onto many victories this year. It's not an ideal for a quarterback. It's tough for both sides, and we've seen some sloppy play because of the weather. We would have had some sloppy play if we hadn't had the weather because of the strike, but I think the weather has compounded it to a point where we've had 3 field goals by Miami and just 1 touchdown by Buffalo.
Miami Dolphins going to extend their record now to a perfect 3-0 if they can run out this final 56 seconds here at Buffalo. A rainy, overcast day in western New York. Don Criqui with Bob Greasy. 56 seconds left to play as the Miami Dolphins, leading the Buffalo Bills 9-7, just got a first down on the run by Andre Franklin. And the Dolphins now looking to run out the clock. The Bills with just 1 timeout left. Don Strock waits for the Bills, and the Bills use their final timeout. This has been a game of mistakes primarily on the part of the Buffalo Bills.
Last timeout.
Buffalo quarterback Joe Ferguson has been intercepted 5 times in this game. It's been a big difference. David Woodley looking on. He sat out the second half. Be a happy plane ride home for the Dolphins. The Bills will be heard from again, but for Miami to win up here at Buffalo in November is a big, big victory for the Dolphins. They, of course, will be playing the Bills again at the Orange Bowl late in the season.
And I dare say that will probably be a little bit more competitive and a little bit more high caliber than this one was here today. It'll be late in the season, and they'll both have, and there may be some significance into that game as so far as the home field advantage going into the playoffs. I think both teams will probably be in the conference championship playoffs, but whoever wins that game may have an advantage as far as the home field advantage.
And this is South Florida's 7th WCKT Miami.
This year, with really a tournament setup. Number 1 will play number 8 the first week. There'll be 4 left in each conference, same way on down. So coming out with the best record means a lot because those Dolphins are especially tough at the Orange Bowl. Everybody on the Orange Bowl committee, speaking of another brand of football, has got to be delighted, Bob. I think you're active in that now. The game coming up the night of January 1, 1983 here on NBC. Steve Hudson, Frank Callahan, Charles Granbrell, and all the people on the Orange Bowl committee with LSU really laying it to Bobby Bowden and his Florida State Seminoles. Kind of a surprise last night. So LSU goes to the Orange Bowl. And what might be the best team in the country, in the opinion of a lot of people, Nebraska, will lock up with Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's awful good as the season wears on. The winner of that Big 8 showdown will be going on to be the host team in the Orange Bowl this year.
Should be a fine game, depending on no matter Nebraska represents the Big 8 or Oklahoma. LSU had a big win and should be a very good game.
There was some weekend last year, Friday night. Clemson wins the national championship over Nebraska, and on Saturday the Dolphins in San Diego have one of the all-timers. Maybe not Miami fans' memory, but tough loss, but it was a great football game.
These are the plays I always like to run right here, the fall downs at the end of the game.
Al Strock's doing it very well, and this is a very important win for the Miami Dolphins. The Bills had their chances. The Dolphin defense rose up. Joe Ferguson knows there'll be another day, but this was not his, as Shula and his Dolphins head back to Miami, a 9-7 victor, and with a perfect 3-0 record, opening the new season with a hard-fought win. So, Bob, as you look at the rest of the Miami schedule, what do you see ahead for the Dolphins?
Well, I think that the Dolphins obviously are going to be in the conference playoffs. The Bills are going to be in the conference playoff. It's just a matter of making sure that you finish high up enough on the conference of all the other teams so that you may get the home field advantage. Miami plays very well at home. Buffalo, I think, will play much better, obviously, than they did today, and certainly be in the playoffs. But the other key to the whole situation is keeping your players healthy. Both teams are relatively healthy after the long layoff, and getting into the playoffs, finishing as high as you can, but yet getting as much as you can out of the playoff system in the sense of the home field advantage would be a big thrust for both of these teams as they go down the line.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and it's got some ways to go, and the Miami Dolphins right now are in command in the American Conference. Nobody's better off than they are, and of course, historically, late in the season, as nobody knows better than you, Bob Greasy, the Dolphins are as tough to beat as any club in all of football when they're at home. There's something.
Well, they're always very well prepared.
Final score, Miami 9, Buffalo 7. The coordinating producer of NBC's NFL football is Ted Nathanson. Today's game was produced by Michael Hadley, directed by Bucky Guntz, technical director Walter Dresch Jr., associate director Mike Eilbaum. Now for Bob Greasy, this is Don Crickey. Glad you could be with us as NBC renews its coverage of the 1982 NFL season, the Dolphins winning 9-7. Don't forget, next Thursday on NBC, it's an NFL Thanksgiving Day special with the Cleveland Browns playing the Cowboys in Irving, Texas. Now stay tuned for the Budweiser NFL Report after these messages from your local station.